Chapter 468. The woman's ability was probably something that no one could do except for the top Grotto Heaven Realm experts. After all, Celestial Realm experts only had the knowledge to increase the distance they could glide. It was impossible for them to stand in the air. This woman was mysterious and noble, making people want to get close to and worship her. She didn't seem like a human, but an immortal. She was a god. Wasn't she the Desperation Tower's leader? Although this woman had the same aura as the Desperation Tower's leader, her temperament was completely different. The Desperation Tower's leader was a decisive woman. Her martial soul couldn't be so noble and graceful. It was probably something with a murderous aura. Who was this person? Was there such a terrifying existence in the Yuehua school? Stupid woman, you actually dared to enter the 1,000 Ghost Forest alone. Fine, this king needs a large amount of profound chi to recover his strength. Today, you will become the material for this king to recover his strength. Ha! In the sky, the battle between the two sides paused for a moment. It was estimated that the probing was over. Both sides knew the other's strength, so they started to play psychological warfare. Sure enough, the evil beast demon king's words confirmed Ling Zhao's speculation. The reason why a large number of warriors disappeared in the 1,000 Ghost Forest was because of the evil beast demon king. This guy had really harmed a lot of people. Shameless boasting. The woman's red lips opened slightly. Her voice was like a beautiful melody, making people feel very comfortable. She was obviously angry, but it made people feel like they were enjoying it. It was really strange. Humph. When this king was all-powerful, you weren't even born yet. How dare you say that this king is shameless boasting? The evil beast demon king snorted coldly. Of course, this king is virtuous. I really don't want to kill a talented girl like you. How about this? As long as you bring something to this king will not only not kill you, but also promise to leave the heavenly dragon continent after this matter is done. How shameless this guy was. Even if Ling Xiao wasn't as strong as these two, he could see that the evil beast demon king suddenly said this because he didn't have full confidence in defeating the woman in front of him. Although he was slightly stronger than the other party, at most he could only fight. If they really fought, he didn't have any helpers. That woman might not be the case. Oh, that's not bad. But what do you want? The woman asked. Obviously, no one had the confidence to win this battle. If they could drive the evil beast demon king out of the heavenly dragon continent, it could be considered a temporary victory. Great! This king needs at least 10 heavenly dipper spirit refining pills to recover my cultivation. If you can get them, this king can even give you some rare cultivation materials. Have you heard of the Earth Spirit Origin Stone? Evil Beast Demon King said with a smile. Earth Spirit Ore. You actually have divine stones that can only be produced occasionally in dragon veins that are filled with spiritual energy, and you're willing to give it to me. The woman seemed a little surprised and couldn't help but ask, Master, what is this Tiangang spirit refining pill? Ling Xiao asked Yuan Venerate. Good stuff. That's a yellow-grade elixir. Anyway, I've never heard of any alchemist in the Sky Dragon continent that can refine it. Yuan Venerate replied. Not even Old Hall Master Yang Danlin? He can't, but I can. But you also know that it's impossible for me to refine pills with my current body. Although the Earth Spirit Origin Stone is precious, it really can't compare to a Heaven Dipper Spirit refining pill. Yuan Venerate shook his head. What exactly is this thing used for? Why does Evil Beast Demon King need it? The Heaven Dipper Spirit refining pill has 2 functions. One is to strengthen the physical body, and the other is to strengthen the soul. Furthermore, the effects are amazing, Yuan Venerate replied. Presumably, Evil Beast Demon King must have obtained a very good body. However, he needs the Heaven Dipper Spirit refining pill to perfectly fuse with it. Once he obtains this kind of elixir, he will be very powerful. It will be a disaster for the human race. I see. Ling Xiao had come into contact with the plagued Demon King before and knew how important a good body was to him. Evil Beast Demon King had not immediately attacked the Sky Dragon continent because he was afraid of the hidden experts of the Sky Dragon continent. On the other hand, it was probably because he was still unable to perfectly fuse with the body he was looking forward to. Without a perfect fusion, he would not be able to use his full cultivation. Once this fellow was able to perfectly fuse with the body, not only would his strength become even more terrifying, but his recovery speed would also increase greatly. When that happened, it would really be the end of the Sky Dragon continent and the entire mystic world. That woman probably won't agree to it. For some reason, Ling Xiao had such an intuition. Sure enough, the woman only smiled slightly, then shook her head and said, "Heavenly Dipper Pill, Evil Beast Demon King, your thoughts are not bad, but it's a pity that you think too highly of yourself and others too stupid, don't you? You're not even tempted by the Earth Spirit Origin Stone?" Evil Beast Demon King asked. The Earth Spirit Origin Stone is indeed precious. However, if I let you obtain the Heaven Dipper Spirit Refining Pill, I'm afraid I will also lose my life. The woman shook her head gently. Humph. Woman, I am giving you a chance to live. Since you want to die, I can only fulfill your wish. Evil Beast Demon Kings, 3 tiger heads, said at the same time. Do you want to make a move? Do you really think that you are invincible just because your cultivation has recovered to the Yin-Yang realm? The woman sneered, and the moonlight behind her surged. Originally, there was only a small ball of blue light, but it instantly forced back the evil Beast Demon King's black light. Yin-Yang realm. Evil Beast Demon Kings, 3 tiger heads were shocked. You are actually in the Yin-Yang realm. How is that possible? There shouldn't be such a cultivation on the Heavenly Dragon continent. Whether it should exist or not is not up to you to decide. Evil Beast Demon King, since I have found you today, you must die unless you leave the Heavenly Dragon continent. Tens of thousands of years ago, your true demon empire brought too much pain to humans. Speaking of this, the woman's face turned cold and continued. How many families have been destroyed? How many people have been separated from their families? Such a tragedy must not be repeated. How, with just you? I have been living in the 1,000 Ghost Forest for so long. Do you really think I have been wasting my time here? So what if you are in the Yin-Yang realm? You still have to die. Evil Beast Demon King laughed loudly. What joy is there in life? What fear is there in death? If I die because of you, I will not regret it. At this very moment, that seemingly delicate woman had a more domineering and courageous aura than a man. He raised his lily-white hand and casually waved the sword in his hand. A huge ray of light appeared in the sky. This ray of light was like a cloud in the sky. It was dozens of meters long and looked beautiful. However, it was very dangerous. No one would doubt its terrifying lethality, although it was only a ray of sword chi. Chapter 469. Humph, Yuehua school swordsmanship is indeed powerful, but this king is not to be trifled with. Looking at the huge sword chi that pierced through the air like a blue rainbow descending, the evil beast demon king's 3 heads revealed ferocious expressions. He roared in a low voice, then opened one of his bloody mouths. A ball of black light quickly condensed, stirring up the surrounding energy. Even from a mile away, Ling Xiao could feel the blood and true essence in his body fly out of his body. The ball of light quickly grew larger and turned from black to blood red. When the energy condensed to the extreme, it instantly shot out. The terrifying energy vibrations made Ling Xiao, who was a mile away, feel the earth shake. It's too scary. Fortunately, I'm far away. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know how I died. Ling Xiao was glad that he wasn't so curious and didn't go closer to watch the battle. Otherwise, just the energy condensed by the evil beast demon king just now would have sent him straight to hell. At this level of cultivation, it would probably be difficult to kill the other party. Ling Xiao had a feeling that after reaching the Yin-Yang realm, the battle would become extremely intense, but the probability of death would decrease. This was because every cultivator had their own life-saving skills. If one didn't have overwhelming strength or special means, it would be too difficult to kill the other party. As long as a transcendent realm cultivator's heart or head was shattered, they would basically die. It was the same for celestial realm and grotto heaven realm cultivators. The defense of the heart and head would become stronger. After reaching the yin-yang realm, any cultivator could probably regenerate from a drop of blood, not to mention a shattered heart or head. Even if only a drop of blood essence was left, they could still be resurrected. This was the terrifying part of the yin-yang realm. Ling Xiao could now regenerate broken limbs, but he didn't dare to try regenerating from a drop of blood. This was because he felt that the description of the heavenly dragon golden body was a bit too exaggerated. It was just a high-grade, gold-grade martial art. How could it be as terrifying as regenerating from a drop of blood? There must be a price to pay. This was also the reason why Ling Xiao temporarily stopped cultivating this celestial dragon golden body. He planned to start cultivating again after he obtained the Dragon Emperor protection technique. He couldn't joke about his life. After all, the heavenly dragon golden body had been obtained from the secular world, so it definitely wouldn't be complete. There might even be a lot of missing content. Kid, don't even think about helping. You won't be able to help anyone in a battle of this level, no matter how smart you are. Yuan Venerate's voice was suddenly heard, as he could sense Ling Xiao's concern for that woman. Master, Luo Yunyang, Luo, Luo Yunyang, Luo's voice, Luo with Luo with Luo. Ling Xiao really wanted to help that woman. After all, she was from the Yuehua sect and had a very familiar and friendly aura. Although he couldn't see her face clearly, she resembled the blue-clothed lady he had met in the Dragon Submission mountain range. There shouldn't be a mistake. Both sides exchanged blows once again. In the sky, a huge sword chi whizzed toward the evil beast demon king, accompanied by the sound of thunder, lightning, and wind. It was extremely terrifying. On the other side, the red ball in the evil beast demon king's mouth had also been spat out. The huge red ball was like a red sun in the sky. In the blink of an eye, all the plants within a radius of several hundred meters withered and fell silent. A large number of dire beasts died tragically in this unexpected disaster. The red ball of blood seemed to be able to absorb the essence of all living things in the world. It was too terrifying. Ling Xiao sensed danger before the two forces collided. He turned around and fled into the distance. The distance of 500 meters was still too close. When he was 3 miles away, the two types of energy finally collided in the sky. It didn't seem like two different attacks, but more like the collision of two huge meteorites. In an instant, heaven and earth shook and mountains collapsed. Boom! Whoosh! Crack! All sorts of sounds formed a doomsday symphony in the forest of 1,000 ghosts. Mudslides, floods, earthquakes, all sorts of natural disasters also occurred. Everything within a radius of 500 meters was destroyed. It was completely destroyed. There were no signs of life left. This was a battle between two powerhouses. As the saying goes, when immortals fight, mortals suffer. At this moment, it was vividly displayed. After the two forces confronted each other in the sky, they all disappeared. Through this move, the two were actually evenly matched. However, this was only the beginning. The woman moved. The moonlight behind her radiated in all directions. In that instant, it was as if she had teleported. She easily appeared behind the evil beast demon king. Then, the long sword in her hand pierced forward. The sword light flickered and actually pierced toward the evil beast demon king's vital point. The evil beast demon king's body was huge. He didn't have time to turn around, but there was no trace of panic on his 3 heads. It was as if everything was under his control. The sword was very fast, and the move was very simple, but the energy it contained was extremely terrifying. It wasn't inferior to the gorgeous sword chi from before it all. However, the long sword didn't stab into the evil beast Demon King's body. The 3-headed tiger's tail swung and whipped toward the woman with the force of thunder. If the woman stabbed out with this sword, then she would inevitably be seriously injured. She withdrew her sword and turned around. The woman decisively chose to give up. In a battle between powerhouses, every attack needed to be extremely cautious, because if you made the slightest mistake, the opponent could grasp your weakness and ruthlessly suppress you. Tiger, roar thunder. In that instant, the evil beast Demon King turned his head and opened his mouth to roar at the woman. That sound actually condensed into a substantial, true essence wave. Even Ling Xiao, who was 3 miles away, felt like thunder in his ears. His entire person was stunned for a moment, not to mention the woman, who was nearby. However, the woman skillfully raised her longsword. The moonlight behind her flickered and formed a shining round shield in front of her. Moonlight shield. Generally, this kind of defensive martial skill was used to resist physical attacks. But he didn't expect that this woman's moonlight shield could even block a sound attack. That sound wave hit the shield and then scattered, not causing the woman the slightest bit of damage. However, the evil beast Demon King's attack didn't stop. Of his 3 faces, one was angry, one was happy, and one was indifferent. So, one simply couldn't tell what he was thinking. The sound wave attack was ineffective. The 3-headed tiger opened its bloody maw and bit at the woman. Kacha! Faint cracks appeared on the moonlight shield. Pala! Finally, it completely shattered. In a direct confrontation, the woman was still slightly inferior. The evil beast Demon King seized this opportunity to launch a series of attacks. Chapter 470. The woman's sword was actually burning with a strange moonfire. It was a light green flame. Although it wasn't as strong as the 12 sacred flames, it was still terrifying when used by an expert of this level. Petty tricks. The evil beast Demon King's 3rd head opened, and dozens of round stones appeared in its mouth. Earth Spirit Source Stone! Yuan Venerate couldn't help but exclaim, "This evil beast Demon King is really cunning." The Earth Spirit Origin Stone can absorb any energy and convert it into pure spirit energy. This is more powerful than any spirit stone. That woman is in danger. In an instant, the Earth Spirit Source Stone had already absorbed the moonfire. The evil beast Demon King's delighted laughter echoed throughout the area. "Ha ha ha! Stupid woman, you will definitely die today." "Not necessarily." The woman was still as calm as before. Moonlight flickered behind her, and her figure suddenly disappeared. Lunar Shadow Technique. Her movement technique became illusory and illusory. It was actually similar to Ling Xiao's Cloud Dragon Divine Technique. It was obvious that the woman's Lunar Shadow Technique was faster and had more variations. Every movement was like teleportation and simply impossible to capture. You don't have to be too surprised. The difference between your cultivation base and theirs is too great, so it's normal that you can't see their figures. When you reach that level, you will realize that their speed seems to have slowed down. Actually, that's not the case. You've just adapted to that speed. The Yuan Venerate's master was really qualified. He was probably afraid that Ling Xiao would lose confidence after seeing the scene, so he encouraged him this way. Actually, he really didn't need to do this. Ling Xiao wasn't someone who gave up so easily. The rest of the battle basically consisted of the evil beast Demon King chasing after the woman and dodging sneak attacks. Based on this point, the woman's cultivation base was indeed inferior to the evil beast Demon King's. If this was the extent of her strength, she would definitely lose this battle. Ling Xiao's cultivation base wasn't as good as theirs, but his eyesight wasn't bad. He was very confident about this. "Master, I think something isn't right," Ling Shao said with a frown. "What's not right?" the Yuan Venerate asked. Although this disciple is unable to determine the true cultivation of those two from their attacks, it is reasonable to say that they should be evenly matched. However, that woman is clearly at a disadvantage. This is not normal. Ling Shao analyzed. "I suspect that the evil beast demon king set up some kind of formation in the 1,000 ghost forest that affected this battle." Upon hearing this, the Yuan Venerate couldn't help but stare at his disciple in shock. This brat's analytical ability is too strong, isn't it? He can even see through this. "You're right. I felt it just now. There's a super formation set up in the forest of 1,000 ghosts. It's called the 10,000 Beasts' Blood Refining Formation. It's on the same level as the Plague Bone Melting Formation. The Knowledge Beast Demon King's current strength is much stronger than the Plague Demon King's, so the formation setup is also more powerful. The most frightening part of the 1,000 Beast Blood Refining Array is that it uses the inner cores of tens of thousands of demonic beasts or dire beasts as the materials used to set up the array. Furthermore, it is set up with powerful sacred texts. The essence of any living being that enters the 1,000 Ghost Forest will be absorbed by this array without them knowing it." "That can't be, Master. I don't feel anything," Ling Shao asked doubtfully. "Of course you don't feel anything. I discovered the existence of this array the moment I entered the forest of 1,000 ghosts. Naturally, I made some countermeasures for you. Otherwise, do you think you would have been so relaxed?" The Yuan Venerate snapped. "This is too strange. No wonder the evil beast Demon King said that he set up something in the forest of 1,000 ghosts. It must be this 10,000 Beast Blood Refining Formation, right?" "Yes, the 10,000 Beast Blood Refining Formation is divided into two states. Under normal circumstances, it will slowly absorb essence so that living beings won't be able to sense it. However, when it is suddenly activated during a battle, it will be terrifying. It will directly squeeze out all the living beings that are preparing for it and gather all the energy in the evil beast Demon King's body. This is why his combat strength soars. The more casualties there are, the stronger he becomes." The Yuan Venerate nodded. "This won't do. That woman should be someone I know. I have to help her." Ling Shao frowned. "Master, is there a way to break this array formation?" "Impossible." The Yuan Venerate shook his head. "Even if you want to break it, it will take at least a day. I still have to do it personally. By that time, the battle between them will be over." "Let me try." Ling Shao didn't know if he could help that woman. However, since they were from the same sect and acquaintances, there was no reason for him to just stand by and watch. After all, he wasn't going to participate in the battle. He was just trying to break the array formation. "Even I can't do it. How can you?" "Sigh. Forget it. Do it if you like." The Yuan Venerate originally wanted to stop Ling Shao. However, after thinking about it, he realized that this kid often had amazing performances. This time, he might be able to give him a huge surprise. Thus, it didn't seem inappropriate to let this kid try. The battle in the sky was still ongoing. The evil beast Demon King was getting stronger and stronger because he was using the 10,000 Beast Blood Refining Formation. However, it wouldn't be easy for him to defeat that woman in a short period of time. After all, that woman's movement technique was too mysterious. Coupled with her extremely sharp swordsmanship, she really wasn't easy to deal with. Ling Shao quietly activated his mountain and river martial soul. Two universes seemed to appear in his eyes that were constantly revolving. Strange inscriptions were flickering in his eyes. Although the 1,000 Beast Blood Refining Array was terrifying, it was still an array formation on the same level as the Plague Bone Dissolving Array. It was true that the evil Beast Demon King knew how to set up formations. It was just a pity that he was not some array formation master. Although this myriad Beast Blood Refining Formation was still passable, In Ling Xiao's view, it was simply full of loopholes, too horrible to endure. In order to allow the array formation to envelop the entire Thousand Ghost Forest, this fellow didn't hesitate to use some inferior materials, causing the entire array formation to become extremely unstable. Of course, even so, it was still a very good array formation. Even an array formation master, like a Yuan Venerate, would need at least a day to break it. However, Ling Xiao was an exception. The mountain and river martial soul was definitely more terrifying than a Yuan Venerate's. In addition, Ling Xiao had strong comprehension abilities. 2 hours later, a smile appeared on his face. I have found the method to break the array formation. However, Master, I will have to trouble you to lend me some power. It will be very difficult for me to break this array formation by myself, even if I find the method. Ling Xiao told the Yuan Venerate, "That's not a problem. You are my disciple after all." The Yuan Venerate was straightforward. Actually, he also wanted to know how Ling Xiao was going to break the array formation. "All right, Master, you don't have to worry about anything else later. You just have to keep pouring quintessential essence into this array formation stone. Leave the rest to me." Ling Xiao said, "All right." After the discussion, Ling Xiao began to break the array formation. The Yuan Venerate started to pour quintessential essence into the array formation stone. As the saying went, 1,000-mile dikes could be destroyed by an ant's nest. Chapter 471. Once the key flaw was found, the rest of the process wouldn't be so complicated. Novel. Ling Xiao had already found the key flaw. As long as he used the Yuan Venerate's powerful true origin to break it, the 1,000 beast blood refining array would quickly collapse. While waiting, he looked up at the sky. The battle was still going on. Many wounds had appeared on the woman's body and were getting more and more obvious. Although the evil beast demon lord also had some wounds on his body, he relied on the replenishment of the 1,000 beast blood refining array to heal his wounds and replenish his true origin. Thus, he simply didn't care. It's time. The evil beast demon lord kept consuming the woman's true origin. When he sensed that the woman's speed was getting slower and the glow of her martial soul was getting dimmer, he knew that his chance had come. He would kill this woman in one fell swoop and escape from this place. This was his plan. After this battle, the forest of 1,000 ghosts would probably become the target of all the martialists of the Sky Dragon continent. He simply couldn't stay there any longer. The evil beast demon lord became even more cautious after seeing the woman's cultivation base. If the Yuehua school, the weakest of the 12 sects, had a yin-yang powerhouse, then who could guarantee that the other sects didn't have such powerhouses? This time he had used the 1,000 beast blood refining array to gain the upper hand. He wouldn't be so lucky next time. Master, we have to speed up. Otherwise, that woman will die. Ling Xiao could sense that the evil beast demon lord had been keeping a trump card hidden. He had been waiting for the moment when the woman was at her weakest. Now that the opportunity had arrived, he would naturally use his ultimate killing move. Unless the woman had something else to rely on, she would really be in danger. Don't rush me. It's not easy for your master to preserve some true origin in his current body. Wait a moment, the Yuan Venerate muttered, but still sped up. After all, he knew very well that given his current strength, he definitely wasn't a match for the evil beast demon lord. If that woman died, both he and Ling Xiao would die. Given the evil beast demon lord's character, there was no doubt that he definitely wouldn't let them off. The array refining stone was constantly accumulating energy and emitting a glaring light. In the sky, the black light on the evil beast demon lord's body became even more dazzling. Powerful energy constantly surging forth, turning the entire sky black. It was clearly daytime, but the entire world seemed to have sunk into complete darkness. To be able to force me to use this move, you should be satisfied even if you die. The evil beast demon king's huge head swung back and forth, his voice as loud as a clap of thunder. The woman didn't say anything. She just looked at the evil beast demon king warily. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He could feel that there was a terrifying energy accumulating in this woman's body. However, this energy was too strong. This was definitely a move that would cause both of them to perish together. He could roughly understand this woman's thoughts. Since she couldn't defeat him, she might as well take him down with her. Such a person was truly admirable. Live as a hero, die as a ghost hero. She was definitely not inferior to men. Suddenly, the black light that filled the sky disappeared, and what appeared was a black spear that was suspended in midair. On the long spear, the roars and howls of wild beasts were constantly emitted. This spear was actually condensed from the souls of countless demon beasts, vicious beasts, and even evil beasts. Combined with the true essence of the evil beast demon king, it exuded an incomparably evil aura and a powerful pressure. Success! The Yuan Venerate shouted at the same time. Ling Xiao no longer cared about the battle in the sky. Instead, he took the alchemy stone from the Yuan Venerate, spread his wings, and accelerated in a certain direction. In the sky, the black spear kept trembling. The face of the woman opposite him revealed a bit of worry and also a bit of determination. Ha ha ha! Not only will this all-evil beast soul spear kill you, but it will also suck away all the essence energy in your body. I really want to see what you look like when you turn into a dried husk. Ha ha! You will definitely be very cute. The evil beast demon king laughed maniacally. The outcome had been decided, so he had nothing to worry about. As for the ant on the ground, he simply didn't care. It was just an ant. Was there a need for him to care? Every day when he walked, he would accidentally step on a lot of ants. Go! At the same time that Ling Xiao threw the array refining stone into the hole, the black spear in the sky also shot out rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of the woman. This speed was like teleportation, so it was simply impossible to guard against. All evil beast soul spear. Obliterate it. The evil beast demon king's roar reverberated across the sky like a sudden clap of thunder. Ling Xiao could only turn around and run for his life. However, he had a smug look on his face. The ant that the evil beast demon king looked down on might actually become the key to this battle. The woman wasn't willing to sit still and wait for her death when she saw the black spear coming. She chose to counterattack. The energy that had been accumulating for a long time was released. Moonlight sword art, luminous moon, ascending sky. A luminous moon appeared out of thin air. In the bright moon, countless swords flew out like locusts, densely packed and blotting out the sun. The sky, which had already brightened up, turned dark once again. Piak, 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 piak. Continuous sounds of collisions were heard. The sword lights shot out of the full moon continuously struck the black spear in an attempt to block it. The whistling sounds brought about by the sword lights had already formed gusts of wind. However, there was nothing they could do. The black spear was simply too terrifying. It was constantly being hit, but its speed had only slowed down a little, and its light had dimmed a little. Piercing through the rain of swords, the black spear swept through everything before it ruthlessly stabbed into the moon shield and protective true essence in front of the woman. Then it pierced through the woman's body. Pucci! Bright red blood fell from the sky. Exceptionally beautiful. At that moment, the evil beast demon king let down his guard. Because the all-evil beast soul spear had pierced through the woman. The woman's essence was constantly being absorbed by the spear. His victory was already decided. It was this moment of relaxation that caused him to pay a heavy price. Bang! The all-beast blood refining array exploded. The evil beast demon king used his soul to control this array. Once the all-evil blood refining array was destroyed, he would naturally be heavily wounded. Just at this fleeting moment, the woman seized this opportunity. Moonlight sword art, falling moon strike. Her entire body fused into the resplendent moonlight. It was as if she had turned into a sword. It was as if she had turned into moonlight. She charged straight at the evil beast Demon King. The moment this attack was unleashed, the evil beast Demon King's face actually revealed a terrified expression. All 3 heads had the same expression. Boom! Crack! The attack was too fast. The evil beast Demon King hurriedly dodged, but he was still stabbed by the sword. 2 of his heads were completely destroyed, and most of his body was also completely destroyed. Roar! An ear-piercing howl resounded in the sky. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a black light and quickly disappeared into the horizon. Chapter 472. On the other side, the woman's body also rapidly fell from the sky. Novel. The last attack had been launched while the all-evil beast soul spear was in her body. This woman was simply a lunatic. However, she had succeeded. Whoosh! Ling Xiao sped up and flew over, hugged the woman in his arms, and then quickly disappeared into the horizon. The evil beast Demon King wasn't the only danger in the thousand-ghost forest. While the evil beast Demon King and the woman had been fighting, there had been many powerful evil beasts waiting for a delicious meal in the surroundings. Ling Xiao definitely wasn't a match for these evil beasts, so he could only escape. Although evil beasts were beasts of the same grade as spirit beasts, they were exceptionally ferocious and terrifying. Master, can this woman still be saved? She had been looking for an opportunity to perish together with her last attack. Ling Xiao couldn't help but ask. She won't die, but we have to quickly find a way to get rid of the all-evil beast soul spear. Otherwise, this woman will be sucked dry sooner or later. Yuan Venerate replied. Speaking of which, she was lucky to have met the 2 of us. Otherwise, she would have been dead. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that the woman could still be saved. If this woman had died, wouldn't he have offended the evil beast Demon King for nothing? The cloud dragon divine travel might not be as fast as those evil beasts, but it had the effect of an illusion array. Those beasts simply couldn't catch up to Ling Xiao. After a few twists and turns, those beasts were completely left behind. After returning to the cave, Ling Xiao gently placed the beautiful woman in his arms on the soft bedding. In any case, this kind of thing was nothing to martialists with storage rings, let alone martialists with the Mountain River realm. The woman's face was pale and her eyes were tightly shut. She had already entered a state of deep unconsciousness. Although the black all-evil beast soul spear's power had obviously decreased a lot because the all-evil beast blood refining array had been broken, it still continued to draw blood from the woman's body. See no evil, see no evil. In any case, Ling Xiao was still a 14-year-old youth. Seeing a fairy-like beauty lying there, he could not help but feel a sense of charm and gentleness. Now that he thought about it, the feeling when he hugged the woman just now was really not bad. Her skin was as delicate as white jade, tender and smooth like silk. That kind of touch was truly wonderful. However, Ling Xiao was not someone who would take advantage of others when they were down. Even if he had such thoughts, it was not difficult for him to suppress them with the heart of a cultivator. Her beauty was unparalleled. There was no doubt about it. Her beauty surpassed Ling Yixue, Dayuling, and any other woman Ling Xiao had seen before. The most peculiar thing was that this woman naturally emanated the aura of an otherworldly celestial maiden, and she wasn't tainted by the aura of the mortal world in the slightest. Using the words ice skin jade bone clear without sweat to describe her was a bit inadequate. However, after Ling Xiao experienced the initial shock, he quickly calmed down. This woman was indeed the one he had met in the Dragon Submission mountain range. Now that he was closer, his appearance could be seen clearly. Master, how should I deal with this all-evil beast soul spear? Ling Xiao felt a headache coming on. Master. However, the Yuan Venerate did not make any sound. Ling Xiao suddenly recalled that the Yuan Venerate had helped him break the 1,000 beast blood refining array by using a large amount of true origin energy. His master was probably too tired and would probably have to rest for a long time. He would have to deal with the rest himself. Ling Xiao activated his Mountain River martial soul and stared at the black, all-evil beast soul spear. No matter what it was, as long as he could analyze it clearly, he should be able to deal with it. The all-evil beast soul spear was extremely evil and had to be dealt with quickly. Otherwise, even if this woman survived, her cultivation would be crippled. Ling Xiao couldn't help but blush when he saw that the woman's clothes were slightly tattered around her wound. After all, he was only a 14-year-old youth who had never really thought about the matters between a man and a woman. Calm down. Ling Xiao circulated his true origin energy and tried to keep himself calm. Soon, he focused all his attention on the black spear. However, just as he used his Mountain River martial soul to analyze the weakness of the black spear and find a way to break it, the woman suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were filled with shock and embarrassment as she looked at Ling Xiao reproachfully. She was probably thinking, "Why is a kid like you staring at that part of a woman's body? It's even better that you're awake." Ling Xiao did not panic because of the woman's gaze. Instead, he glanced at the woman and said, "I'm going to help you get rid of this all-evil beast soul spear. I need your cooperation. Don't resist or get angry. Otherwise, even the Daluo immortals won't be able to save you." The woman was stunned. She had never expected that someone would actually dare to order her around in such a domineering manner after so many years. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and disperse all the true origin energy from your wound. Don't leave a single trace behind. Otherwise, I won't succeed." Ling Xiao's voice sounded again. He was serious and domineering. "Little guy, we meet again. However, you seem to have made some achievements now. Your personality has become domineering." The woman smiled bitterly. "You still remember me?" Ling Xiao was surprised. He had only met the woman in blue once. He remembered her because she was powerful. However, she had no reason to remember him. "Yes, I remember that little fool. He dared to provoke a Class 8 peak demonic beast with such little strength." The woman smiled. "Cough, cough. Don't talk about me, Moon Maiden. This is urgent. If we don't get rid of the all-evil beast soul spear, you'll be in danger." Ling Xiao coughed and said, "Moreover, I didn't provoke it. Who knew that it would run to the edge of the Dragon's Submission mountain range?" That's right. This woman was the woman in blue from the Dragon's Submission mountain range. She was also his future master, the Moon Maiden. It was a strange fate. Ling Xiao really didn't expect that he would save the Moon Lady in this place. Disperse your true origin energy. Even an ordinary person can kill me easily. The Moon Maiden smiled. "You don't trust me?" Ling Xiao asked. "No. If you wanted to kill me, you wouldn't have saved me. Let's begin." The Moon Maiden smiled and followed Ling Xiao's instructions to disperse the true origin energy from her wound. At this moment, she was completely defenseless. If Ling Xiao wanted to kill her, it would be a piece of cake. Of course, Ling Xiao wouldn't do that. She was his future master. If he saved her, he would definitely get a lot of benefits. What's more, it would be a pity if such a fairy-like woman was turned into a dried husk like this. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and placed one hand on the Moon Maiden's chest. He didn't have any other thoughts in his mind. Chapter 473. Ling Xiao remained calm, but the Moon Lady's body trembled slightly. She couldn't help but smile bitterly in her heart. She hadn't allowed any man to touch her body for over 10,000 years. But this time, this little brat actually took advantage of her. However, looking at the little brat's clear eyes, she felt that she was measuring the heart of a gentleman with her own mean measure. As Ling Xiao circulated his true qi, the black spear began to slowly flow into his body through his arm. "You won't hurt yourself doing this, right?" The Moon Lady couldn't help but ask. "Your Highness Moon Lady, you think too highly of me. I'm not that kind of noble person. I really can't do something like sacrificing myself for others," Ling Xiao said indifferently before turning his attention back to the black spear. This little brat was just a little bit arrogant. In fact, in order to save his benefactor, what did it matter if he was injured? He clearly remembered the kindness of saving his life in the dragon's subduing mountain range and helping him in the Yuehua school's main hall. However, the problem was that even if he wanted to be injured, it wouldn't be so easy. The mountain river martial spirit was too powerful. The black spear slowly disappeared on one side and reappeared in the mountain river world on the other. Before, Ling Xiao couldn't sense how powerful the spear was, but now he could. This thing was too terrifying. Even if it was damaged by the 10,000 beast blood refining array, it still had about 10 to 20% of its original power. It probably wouldn't have a problem killing a peak 7th layer transcendent realm cultivator with a single strike. It could even seriously injure an 8th layer transcendent realm cultivator. It was a pity that this thing could only be used once. Otherwise, it would have been great. It seems that my vision is quite good. Boy, you are indeed talented. It seems that there are many secrets in your body. The Moon Lady said with a smile, Your Highness Moon Lady, I can't believe you can still smile. Although the 10,000 evil beast soul spear has been dispelled, its sealing effect is still there. I'm afraid you won't be able to fight for a long time. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. People should always be a little more optimistic. No matter what, I've already seriously injured that evil beast demon king. I believe he won't be able to stir up any trouble in a short period of time. This is all thanks to you. It was you who broke the myriad beast blood refining formation, right? The Moon Maiden asked with a smile. Master Yuan venerate, and I joined hands. Ling Xiao had no reason to hide this. The Moon Lady definitely knew about Yuan venerates, so it wouldn't be good to hide it. Where's your master? The old man has already fallen into a deep sleep because of the large amount of Zhen Yuan he used. He probably won't wake up for a long time. Ling Xiao sighed. I owe him a favor. I'll pay him back. The Moon Maiden nodded and said, Come on, help me treat my wounds. I'm so badly injured that I can't even move. Ling Xiao glanced at the Moon Maiden and said, Your Highness, are you sure you want to do that? Men and women shouldn't touch each other. You're just a child. Why do you have so many rules? You should be more generous. Besides, there are only the two of us here. Don't tell me you want to watch me bleed to death? Wouldn't that be too unfair? Although the Moon Maiden looked like a fairy, she had an extremely friendly personality. Ling Xiao felt that she was the most approachable person in the entire Yuehua school. She was like a friend to him. All right then. If the woman didn't mind, why would a man like him mind? Ling Xiao didn't hesitate any longer. He took out some healing medicine from his storage ring and fed one to the Moon Maiden. Then he tore off the Moon Maiden's clothes and applied the best healing medicine he had gotten from Yang Danlin on her wounds. Of course, this definitely wasn't enough. Ling Xiao sat in a lotus position behind the Moon Maiden. Behind him, a snow-white flying dragon flapped its wings. It was a fairy dragon. This was Fairy Linglong's dragon-type martial soul. Furthermore, it was an out-of-aperture martial soul. The reason why Fairy Linglong had the ability to heal was because of this fairy dragon's soul. When Ling Xiao was recuperating, he didn't pay attention to this martial soul. The main reason was that he didn't have the time back then. However, things were different now. In order to heal the Moon Maiden, the fairy dragon soul had to appear on stage. Oh, you actually have such a rare martial soul. That's rare. The Moon Maiden was a little surprised. I snatched it. Ling Xiao said calmly, Just as your Highness said, my physique is a little special. I can use other people's martial souls. Fairy Linglong from the Sha Castle tried to kill me, but I killed her. Her martial soul became mine. A smart person would never lie in front of a person who was much stronger, more experienced, and definitely not stupid. Moreover, this wasn't a bad thing for Ling Xiao. You're decisive in killing. Not bad. The Moon Maiden nodded and said, As long as you don't kill the innocent, it's fine. Although there's no such thing as good or evil in the heavenly dragon continent, it's best to do as little evil as possible. Otherwise, you'll really fall into the 18 levels of hell after you die. Your Highness, you actually believe in this? Is there really a hell in this world? Is there really 18 levels of hell? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. There is. You'll understand when you reach the Grotto Heaven realm. This mystic world is really interesting. If you don't reach that level, you'll never know how interesting it is. The Moon Maiden smiled. Ling Xiao could still divert his attention to chat while healing the Moon Maiden. This was because he often used his avatars to cultivate. Of course, it had a lot to do with his ability to multitask. The fairy dragon martial soul's fighting ability wasn't outstanding, but its healing ability was perfect. Of course, even though its fighting ability wasn't outstanding, it was still very terrifying. If anyone dared to underestimate it, they wouldn't be far from death. Ling Xiao didn't find it that easy to control the fairy dragon soul at first, but as time passed, he gradually became able to synchronize with his soul. The fairy dragon's soul had two forms. The dragon form was good at fighting. The fairy form was good at healing. The fairy dragon currently maintained its fairy form. It was a beautiful woman with beautiful wings emitting white light on her back. If such a martial soul was taken out, many girls would go crazy over it. Kid, this martial soul of yours is more suitable for girls. Why don't I give you another martial soul? It's a sub-dragon martial soul. You won't be at a disadvantage. The Moon Maiden could feel her body gradually recovering, but the seal within her body was still stubbornly stubborn. However, she was an optimistic person, so she didn't care too much about it. Instead, she was concerned about whether her future disciple would be seen as too feminine with this martial soul. Chapter 474. Ling Xiao stopped healing her and chuckled. Your Highness, I will think of a way to get rid of the restraining power in your body. However, I will need some materials. Of course, you can also think of a way yourself. Novel, La, you are really cunning. Never mind. I will give you a sub-dragon martial soul as a gift when you successfully break through the Moonlight Pagoda. The Moon Lady chuckled. That's too stingy. You will become my master by then. Don't tell me you want to give me a sub-dragon martial soul as a greeting gift? Ling Xiao chuckled. He had basically figured out the Moon Lady's temperament and character. Although this woman wasn't young, she was no different from a 16 or 17-year-old girl in many aspects. She was equally beautiful and full of enthusiasm. Quiet as a virgin, quick as a rabbit. These words were really suitable to describe her. When she stood there quietly, she was as noble and mysterious as a fairy. Once she became lively, she was similar to a girl next door. Don't worry, the sub-dragon martial soul is only one of the benefits. Once you become my disciple, there will naturally be many more benefits. Then I can rest assured. Your Highness, please rest here. There is an array formation outside the cave. Those stupid dire beasts and evil beasts won't be able to discover you at all. After saying that, Ling Xiao left the cave. He felt that he needed to remove the Moon Lady's restraints because he wanted to integrate the evil beast Demon King into the 9-demon divine art. Even if the evil beast Demon King was seriously injured, he still wouldn't be able to defeat it without the help of the Moon Lady. Therefore, the Moon Lady was the key to his success. Although there were still many dire beasts lingering outside the cave, the evil beasts were nowhere to be seen. They probably hadn't been able to find Ling Xiao and lost track of the Moon Lady. Thus, they had returned to their own caves to cultivate. Evil beasts were equivalent to sky humans, so they wouldn't waste time chasing after their prey. The dire beasts were naturally the coolies they had sent out. Good disciple, I think you shouldn't take that girl as your master. Just let her be your woman. Wouldn't that be better? Yuan Venerate's voice was suddenly heard. Master, weren't you asleep? How could this be? Ling Xiao had really thought that the Yuan Venerate had fallen asleep. He had not expected that the Yuan Venerate would suddenly speak which gave him a fright. Yes, I did fall asleep. However, I felt that there were a few things that I should make clear to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to rest properly, so I woke up again. The Yuan Venerate chuckled. She is a yin-yang martialist. If she becomes your woman, who will you be afraid of? The entire Yuehua school will be yours. Master, are you serious? Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. Sometimes this master of his was simply too disrespectful. Master is very serious. Yes, to be honest, I've also had the same thoughts as you. In any case, I don't have a woman. It's just that the difference in strength between the two of us is too great. I'm afraid that such thoughts won't bring me any benefits. Instead, it will bring me a fatal disaster. Ling Xiao said solemnly. Furthermore, one's own strength is the key. If I keep relying on others to protect me, wouldn't I be like a baby in swaddling clothes? How could I possibly grow up? That's true. In any case, you can make your own decision. If it really doesn't work out, you can also acknowledge her as your master. After all, her cultivation is so strong. She won't leave you in the lurch. The Yuan Venerate pondered for a moment before saying, Forget it. Just take it that I'm worried for nothing. Go about your business. I really have to go back and continue sleeping. After saying that, the Yuan Venerate entered the beast ring again. Ling Xiao sorted out his somewhat chaotic thoughts and quietly sneaked into the 1,000-ghost forest. The confinement in the Moon Maiden's body was mainly caused by the evil beast demon king's spirit power being too strong. Ling Xiao thought of a way to slowly dispel this powerful spirit power. However, he needed some medicinal herbs. Fortunately, very few people entered the 1,000-ghost forest, so there were many rare medicinal herbs there. Ling Xiao avoided the eyes and ears of those ferocious beasts and quickly collected the medicinal herbs he needed before returning to the cave. As soon as he arrived at the cave, he saw the Moon Maiden lying on the soft bedding in boredom. Her hands were supporting her cheeks, while her legs were swaying rhythmically behind her. She really looked like a naive little girl. She smiled excitedly when she saw Ling Xiao. She immediately got up and rushed to Ling Xiao's side. You're back. I was so bored staying here alone. Ling Xiao was sweating profusely. What the hell was this? Was she still the otherworldly fairy he had seen before? She was just a cute and lively little girl. Your Highness, Moon Maiden. Don't call me Your Highness. It sounds too distant. Just call me Moon Maiden. All right, Moon Maiden. Yes, I have already collected some necessary medicinal herbs. I will remove the confinement of the evil beast demon king's spirit in the next few days. Seeing the Moon Maiden's lively appearance, Ling Xiao knew that her external injuries should be fine. After all, she was a yin-yang realm expert. Her recovery ability was heaven-defying. How long will it take? The Moon Maiden asked. About 3 to 4 days. You will need to soak your body in the medicinal liquid I concoct every day. Then, I will use a special method to absorb the evil beast demon king's soul power from your body. This way, you will be able to break free from the confinement and regain your strength. Ling Xiao replied, It's much faster than doing it myself. The Moon Maiden revealed a surprised expression. In reality, she had not been idle. She had been thinking about how to remove the confinement with her own efforts. However, no matter how she thought about it, it would take at least 10 days. There was no time at all. The pagoda ascension ceremony was coming soon. She had to be present. After all, she was the only one who could control the Moonlight Pagoda. Don't look at me like this. I am an alchemist, after all. I am very knowledgeable when it comes to alchemy and alchemy. Have you not heard of me? Ling Xiao asked as he threw the medicinal herbs into the bathtub. The bathtub was naturally a must-have item in the storage ring. If one needed to take a bath while traveling, it would be much more convenient to have a bathtub. I really haven't heard of you. Do you think I have nothing better to do? The Moon Maiden shook her head, but there was a hint of slyness in her eyes. Ling Xiao looked at the beautiful woman whose cultivation was much higher than his and could not help but sigh. He could actually chat with an expert of this level. This could be considered a magnificent feat if he told the people in the sect. No one would believe him. "Sigh, I thought I was famous." Ling Xiao pretended to sigh in disappointment. Then he asked, "Moon Maiden, once your confinement is removed, are you still going to hunt down the evil beast Demon King?" This was actually what Ling Xiao wanted to know the most. In fact, he also wanted the Moon Maiden to give an affirmative answer. This was because his 9 demon divine art required the soul of the evil beast Demon King. Chapter 475. Of course, although he's heavily injured, he's still a yin-yang realm expert. It won't take long for him to recover. We have to kill him before he fully recovers. Novel, La, the Moon Maiden suddenly became serious. She no longer had the girl next door vibe. She once again acted like an unfathomable fairy. Yes, the evil beast Demon King has harmed many cultivators in the 1,000 Ghost Forest over the past 10,000 years. If he doesn't die, the Heavenly Dragon Continent won't be peaceful. Ling Xiao nodded and said, "Moreover, that guy is so powerful. If we don't kill him while he's down, I'm afraid we won't have another chance in the future." "That's true. Even if I use the strongest move of the Moonlight Sword Art, Falling Moonstrike, I still couldn't kill him. Moreover, it's all thanks to you breaking his myriad beast blood refining array. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome." The Moon Maiden was clearly a relatively calm person. She was aware of the gap between her and her opponent, so she wouldn't be arrogant. This was something that Ling Xiao rather admired. If a person couldn't even figure out their own worth, then how could they talk about dominating the profound world? He was probably going to be killed soon. "All right, the medicinal liquid is ready. Moon Maiden, you soak in it. I'll go out and protect you," Ling Xiao said with a smile as he filled the tub with warm water. "There's no need to go out. Just stay inside and cultivate." The Moon Maiden knew very well that Ling Xiao wanted to go out mainly because he felt there was a difference between men and women. However, danger lurked everywhere outside the cave. She couldn't take someone else's place and let him take the risk. As long as she turned her back and kept a distance, it would be fine. Fine. Ling Xiao knew that the Moon Maiden wasn't a pedantic person, so he didn't stand on ceremony. He walked out of the cave and sat down cross-legged to cultivate when he was a distance away. The relationship between people really needed to be nurtured. For the past 3 days, Ling Xiao had been taking care of the Moon Lady. He had concocted medicine for her and helped her expel the remnant soul energy of the evil beast Demon King from her body. This had made their relationship very close. The Moon Lady, who was very approachable, was now like an old friend to Ling Xiao. Sometimes she would even pat Ling Xiao on the shoulder and make some intimate gestures. Ling Xiao naturally knew that the Moon Maiden didn't mean anything else. She just didn't care about the difference between men and women. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable. This was the problem of having a lower cultivation base than others, because you didn't know if the other party's attitude would suddenly change. You had to be on guard at all times. His relationship with the Moon Lady was far less intimate than his relationship with Ling Yixue, Dayuling, and Cold Plum. Of course, compared to most people, their relationship was naturally much better. In front of the Moon Lady, Ling Xiao didn't have to be as respectful as he was to Wang Han Tianzuan, Yuehua School's Sect Master Chang Yueying, and Desperation Tower's Tower Master. He could communicate with the Moon Lady as if they were peers. The shackles in your body have basically been removed. You still need to soak in the medicine one last time. I'll go pick the herbs. Let me go. You're too weak. Evil beasts run rampant in this 1,000 Ghost Forest. You can't beat a single one. The Moon Lady stood up and said, "Listen to me. Your shackles are almost completely removed. If you rashly use your true qi now, everything will be wasted." After saying that, Ling Xiao turned and left. Listen to him? He actually wants me to listen to him? The Moon Lady stood there and couldn't help but be stunned. Did this brat make a mistake? A transcendent realm cultivator actually wants me, a yin-yang realm cultivator, to listen to him? After a while, her dull expression suddenly turned into a smile. This little guy is quite interesting. When I woke up, Fairy was no longer by my side. No one cared about me anymore. Those Yuehua schools, higher-ups, only had awe and greed for me. It's impossible for them to care about me like this. This little guy is an exception. Her smile at that moment was truly peerless. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao didn't see it, otherwise he would definitely be moved. No, it's been almost 3 days. It's impossible that the evil beast Demon King hasn't made a move yet. I have to go out and take a look. Although the shackles hadn't been completely removed, the Moon Lady's strength at this time was much stronger than Ling Xiao's. She was really worried about Ling Xiao's safety, so she decided to go out and take a look. As soon as she came out of the cave, she suddenly heard a beast roar in the distance. Her expression changed drastically. Judging from the sound, it was at least a Class 9 vicious beast. With Ling Xiao's strength, he couldn't resist it at all. She became even more anxious and tried to use Lunar Shadow Divine Travel to leave, but she was blocked by the cave's array. Damn it! If anything happens to Ling Xiao, I'll definitely turn the 1,000-ghost forest into ruins. I'll kill all the beasts here. She was about to use a powerful martial skill to directly break the cave's array when she saw an afterimage rushing over from afar. It was Ling Xiao. The Moon Lady's face lit up with joy. She never thought that she would care so much for a little brat. But at this moment, she couldn't control her emotions at all. It was the truest expression of her heart. "Are you okay, Ling Xiao?" the Moon Lady asked anxiously. "I'm fine. It's just a vicious beast." Ling Xiao waved his hand and said with a smile, "I've already gathered the herbs. I'll make the medicinal liquid for you now. This is the last time. After using it, you should be completely fine." Looking at Ling Xiao's expression, the Moon Lady was a little confused. Ling Xiao really didn't look like he was injured now. She heaved a sigh of relief and didn't say anything else. After entering the cave, Ling Xiao began to make the medicinal liquid. This kind of medicinal liquid couldn't be made by just anyone. The amount of herbs used had to be particular. A small difference could lead to a huge difference. It could even be made into something completely different. So he had to do it himself. After about 5 to 6 minutes, Ling Xiao held the bathtub and said with a smile, "Okay, you can start soaking. I'm going to cultivate." "Thank you." The Moon Lady was a little upset. She really didn't know how to face this kid in the future. Could she really take this kid as her disciple? She smiled bitterly and took off her outer clothes. Just as she was about to soak in the bathtub, she suddenly heard a plop sound. She hurriedly turned her head. Ling Xiao was already lying on the ground. Wisps of black gas were emitting from his body. "Ling Xiao!" the Moon Lady screamed. She casually wrapped her clothes around her body and rushed over to help Ling Xiao up. The place where the black gas came from was Ling Xiao's back. The Moon Lady directly tore apart Ling Xiao's clothes and checked. Only then did she realize that there was a claw mark on Ling Xiao's back. There were a total of 5 claw marks, all of which were emitting black gas. "You idiot, you're already injured to this extent and you're still saying that you're fine." The Moon Lady was so anxious that she was about to cry. The disappearance of the Moonlight Heavenly Maiden left her alone for tens of thousands of years. Now that she finally met someone who could chat like a friend, he was injured to this extent. She swore that she would never let anything happen to Ling Xiao. Chapter 476. "I won't let you die." Absolutely not. The Moon Maiden pressed her jade-like hand on Ling Xiao's back. The black gas began to be drawn out of Ling Xiao's body and into the Moon Maiden's body. In a daze, Ling Xiao felt as if he was soaking in a warm medicinal liquid. His body felt very comfortable. He remembered that he encountered a level 9 vicious beast when he was picking herbs. Moreover, that fellow was a demon general under the evil Beast Demon King. In the end, he was viciously clawed during the battle. He felt that he had the heavenly dragon golden body, so there shouldn't be a problem. He was afraid that the Moon Maiden would be worried about this, so he simply changed his clothes. However, who knew that the evil aura in the claw couldn't be expelled even by the heavenly dragon golden body. He could only rely on his mountain river martial soul to absorb it. He didn't even have time to heal himself before he fainted. He opened his eyes and took a look. He was indeed soaking in a bathtub. His clothes had been taken off, and there was new water in the bathtub. Moreover, he was soaked in some special medicinal liquid. No way, Moon Maiden. Did you do all this? Ling Xiao asked in surprise. You know how to do this? Nonsense. Back when I was fighting with the Moonlight Goddess, I did many similar things. It's only in the recent tens of thousands of years that I basically abandoned it. I feel that my skills have regressed a little. As she spoke, the Moon Maiden's pretty face actually blushed a little. She was obviously shy. Moonlight Goddess, isn't that the founder of the Yuehua school? Sister, don't tell me you've lived for more than 100,000 years? Ling Xiao looked at the Moon Maiden in surprise and asked, Why, do you think I'm old? Although it's more than 100,000 years, I actually slept for nearly 90,000 years. Sigh, I don't know where the goddess went. The Moon Maiden sighed and said, Ahem, let's not talk about sad things. You didn't have time to soak in the medicinal liquid, right? I'm fine now. Your recovery is the key. Ling Xiao could tell that the Moon Maiden wasn't in a good mood at the mention of the Moonlight Fairy, so he changed the topic. I've already soaked in it. Don't tell me you don't know that you've been unconscious for a day and a night? The Moon Maiden smiled bitterly. No way. Ling Xiao thought that he had only been unconscious for a short while. Oh my God, doesn't that mean you just soaked in this bathtub? No wonder it smells so good. Stinking brat, what nonsense are you thinking? Do you believe that I won't tear your mouth apart? The Moon Maiden snapped. However, what was interesting was that after Ling Xiao's antics, her mood seemed to have improved a lot. By the way, Moon Maiden, I've almost recovered from my injuries. Since you've removed the shackles, you should be looking for the evil beast Demon King, right? Ling Xiao suddenly asked. Yes. The Moon Maiden nodded and said, This is part of the plan. But, in my opinion, since the evil beast Demon King knows about formations, he must have set up a formation where he's hiding to recuperate. I'm afraid you can't do it alone, right? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. You want to go with me? The Moon Maiden asked. That's right. Although I can't help you much in battle, you're not as good as me in deciphering formations. Moreover, I also want to get some Earth Spirit Origin Stones. Ling Xiao said straightforwardly, the pagoda ascension ceremony is about to begin. I have to hurry. Otherwise, I won't be able to get first place. If you don't accept me as your disciple, wouldn't that be terrible? You can go, but you have to listen to my arrangements. The Moon Maiden said after pondering for a moment. No problem. Ling Xiao replied straightforwardly because he knew that the Moon Maiden wouldn't harm him. This woman wasn't the kind of person who would harm others. In some aspects, this woman was too naive. To put it bluntly, if Ling Xiao really wanted to deceive her, he could definitely fool her. That's good. Keep this with you. It can block 3 fatal attacks for you. If you encounter any danger, try to escape. Don't force it. The Moon Maiden put a pendant around Ling Xiao's neck. The pendant had a silver chain on top and a crescent-shaped gem at the bottom. Ling Xiao didn't know what it was exactly. However, he felt that it should be some kind of defensive artifact. Moreover, its level wasn't low. After all, it was given by the Moon Maiden. It definitely wouldn't be bad. Then I'll accept it. Ling Xiao was also afraid of death. Since he wanted to be foolproof, this was a must. Therefore, he didn't have to be polite. All right, hurry up and recuperate. When you're fully recovered, we'll set off. I need to rest too. The Moon Maiden smiled and sat not far away from Ling Xiao's bathtub. Ling Xiao looked at the Moon Maiden. He really wanted to tell her his real purpose. but he was afraid that the Moon Maiden would object. After thinking about it, he decided not to. He closed his eyes and felt the energy from the medicinal liquid, together with the self-healing ability of the heavenly dragon golden body. He began to speed up his recovery. After a long time, Ling Xiao opened his eyes. However, he realized that the Moon Maiden was gone. Beside the bathtub, his clothes were neatly folded. He put on the clothes and saw a note on the bedding. There was a paragraph written on it. Ling Xiao, thank you for taking care of me all this time. However, the more you do this, the more I can't let you take the risk with me. I'll get the Earth Spirit Origin stone back for you. After you wake up, leave the forest of 1,000 ghosts as soon as possible. Moon Maiden. There was even a cute, smiley face under the name. This woman. Ling Xiao couldn't help but shake his head and laugh bitterly. Master, I'm sorry. Your disciple is going to go crazy this time because I seem to have fallen in love with that woman. His feelings were different from Ling Yixue, Dai Yuling, and Cold Plum. Ling Xiao felt that he had fallen in love this time. Even if I die, I have to protect her. The Yuan Venerate didn't say anything. He was probably really asleep this time. Ling Xiao leaped out of the cave. The battle had already begun. However, it didn't seem like a battle between the Moon Maiden and the evil Beast Demon King. Instead, it seemed like the evil Beast Demon King's subordinates were protecting him. That fellow probably hadn't fully recovered yet, so it wasn't suitable for him to fight now. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief when he thought of this. As long as the evil Beast Demon King didn't make a move, the Moon Maiden wouldn't be in any danger. What he had to do now was to take advantage of this battle to sneak into the evil Beast Demon King's hiding place and do something big. Although he knew that his cultivation base was worlds apart from the Moon Maiden's, he should protect her wholeheartedly since he liked her, even if his opponent was a powerhouse like the evil Beast Demon King. Of course, he wasn't a rash person. He had only decided to do this after carefully analyzing the situation. The evil Beast Demon King's injuries were probably more serious than he had imagined. After all, that fellow didn't have a suitable body and had only used his soul to endure the damage. Chapter 477. This is the place. A terrifying aqua blue energy gushed out of Ling Xiao's body. Novel. This was the energy of the Moon Lady that had been absorbed by the all-evil Beast Soul Spear. Right now, Ling Xiao was using the mystic technique imparted to him by the Yuan Venerate to enhance his own body. This terrifying energy was enough to allow him to maintain the strength of a half-step Heavenly Venerate for 2 hours. This secret technique could only be used once a year, and it had to be used by a martialist with an extremely outstanding physique. An ordinary martialist would definitely explode and die. A half-step Heavenly Venerate was indeed terrifying. Ling Xiao believed that if he used this energy to kill Wang Shi, he would definitely be able to kill him in one move. However, it would be too wasteful to use this against Wang Shi. Ling Xiao wouldn't have played around with his body if it hadn't been for the fact that his opponent might be the evil Beast Demon King. This secret technique was considered a forbidden secret technique that would cause severe damage to the body. After 2 hours, he would be completely paralyzed and would no longer have the ability to fight. If he couldn't get rid of his opponent by then, he would be done for. Looking at the battle not far away, the advantage of the Moon Lady was obvious. However, although the puppet guards created by the evil Beast Demon King were weak, they weren't afraid of death and wouldn't be dealt with in a short time. Ling Xiao used a moment to break the array set up by the evil Beast Demon King. This array was even worse than the 10,000 beast blood refining array, but it wasn't a problem for him. He entered the evil Beast Demon King's hiding place, which was still a cave. For some reason, these martialists seemed to be too lazy to build houses outside. Instead, they liked to live in caves. It was reasonable to say that transcendent-grade martialists basically had storage rings and could easily build a decent house in the wilderness with some materials. The light in the cave was very dim, and there was no light-absorbing array. After all, the evil beast demon king should be able to see clearly even in the middle of the night. Therefore, it probably felt that light-absorbing arrays were useless. Along the way, Luo Yunyang saw many weapons on the ground. Some were broken, some were stained with blood, and most of them were common-grade and fine-grade artifacts. There were even quite a few precious artifacts. It was likely that the evil beast demon king didn't care for these things at all, so after killing the martial artists, he casually threw them away. Only immortal grade and above treasures could tempt him. The evil beast demon king didn't care, but Ling Xiao did. He directly stored all these artifacts into his mountain river world. With this batch of items, his 36 celestial dipper swords could be completely forged into precious grade artifacts. As for the rest, they were still sent to the divine sword sect. The more powerful the divine sword sect was, the more he would have to rely on in the future. Perhaps the demon king felt threatened by the appearance of the moon lady, so he sent all of his guards to stop her. In any case, Ling Xiao did not see a single guard along the way, nor did he encounter any danger. The sound of his footsteps was very light. His outstanding movement technique, Cloud Dragon Divine Travel, allowed him to pass by without making any sound, as if he was a ghost. It was obvious that the cave had been modified. There were 3 paths leading to 3 different directions. If it had been anyone else, it would have been troublesome to choose the path. However, this wasn't a problem for Ling Xiao at all. His eyes emitted strands of golden light as his vision directly penetrated the walls and extended to the end of the 3 paths. His vision stopped about 20 meters away from the end of the path on the right. Ling Xiao didn't dare continue. That was where the evil beast demon king was recuperating. This fellow had wrapped himself in a huge cocoon at the moment, so he must be recovering his body. The path in the middle led to a prison. There were quite a few powerful cultivators locked up in this prison. Some were at the Transcendent Realm, some were at the Heaven Realm, and some were even at the Grotto Heaven Realm. These people were probably the evil beast demon king's food reserves. This fellow was really ruthless. There was nothing at the end of the path on the left, but there was a huge, irregular stone. The yellow stone was suffused with a thick luster and gave off a very mysterious feeling. Earth Spirit Source Stone! Ling Xiao was delighted. He had seen the appearance of an Earth Spirit Source Stone in the book that the Yuan Venerate had given him. Furthermore, the aura that the evil beast demon king had used before was exactly the same. It was really a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it without any effort. This time, he had snuck into this place for only 2 things. One was the soul of the evil beast demon king, and the other was the Earth Spirit Source Stone. He thought for a moment and walked toward the left path. Naturally, the path was still protected by an array formation. The evil beast demon king was also very careful. Unfortunately, even with the protection of the array formation, it was still of little use to Ling Xiao. It didn't take long for him to break through the array formation and reach the location of the Earth Spirit Source Stone. "Let me out quickly." Suddenly, the sleeping Yuan Venerate shouted from the beast ring. Ling Xiao let the Yuan Venerate out and smiled strangely. "Master, aren't you tired?" "Nonsense. I didn't expect that there would actually be an Earth Spirit core here." "Ha ha ha. You are really lucky, kid." The Yuan Venerate had been staring at the stone ever since he came out. Ling Xiao was absolutely sure that his master's eyes had never been so wide open before. Earth Spirit Core? Isn't this an Earth Spirit Source Stone? Ling Xiao was stunned. He had always thought that this was an Earth Spirit Source Stone. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come over. He hadn't expected that this wasn't the case. Strictly speaking, this is also considered a type of Earth Spirit Source Stone. However, it is considered a high-quality Earth Spirit Source Stone. The Yuan Venerate clicked his tongue and sighed. It is very difficult for an Earth Spirit Source Stone to be born in the first place. It can only be found in places with extremely abundant spirit energy, and there are very few of them. However, An Earth Spirit core is the essence that is born in an Earth Spirit source stone when the sun and moon shine together. There are even fewer of them. If the probability of a dragon vein being born is 1 in 100, then the probability of a supreme grade dragon vein being born is 1 in 1,000. The probability of an Earth Spirit source stone being born is 1 in 10,000, and the distance of an Earth Spirit core being born is 1 in 100,000. So precious! Ling Xiao clicked his tongue in wonder. The Yuan Venerate lamented. Isn't that so? It is precisely because it is precious that its effects are much better than ordinary Earth Spirit source stones. You have really struck it rich, kid. If you use an Earth Spirit core during cultivation, the effects will definitely be more than 10 times better. Furthermore, the condensed true origin will be even purer. It is said that some martialists who are good at body tempering can even use an Earth Spirit core to cultivate an Earth Spirit body. Not only will their defense be greatly increased, but more importantly, the effects of absorbing Earth Spirit power will be better. Chapter 478. The Yuan Venerate added, Your master once roamed the mystic world and spent a lot of effort searching for this Earth Spirit core. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it until something happened to me. After hearing what you said, Master, we really hit the jackpot this time. Will this thing help you recover your cultivation base? Ling Xiao was pleasantly surprised in his heart, but his face revealed a look of concern. On one hand, he had to improve his cultivation base to face all kinds of challenges. On the other hand, there was absolutely no harm in making his backer stronger. Once the Yuan Venerate could recover, it would be of great help to him. Thank you for your kindness, but Master doesn't rely on the Earth Spirit core to recover. In any case, Master has already waited for so long, so it doesn't matter if I wait a little longer. Once your cultivation base becomes stronger, just help Master find it in the future. The Yuan Venerate had once frantically tried to regain his human form and strength. However, after so long, he had become calmer and was no longer as anxious and urgent as before. I'll take it now, Ling Xiao said. I'm afraid that won't be easy. The evil beast demon king has been staying in this cave and can only use the Earth Spirit source stone. He can't use the Earth Spirit core, so I reckon he won't be able to take it. If he can't do it, how can you? The Yuan Venerate smiled bitterly. Where there's a will, there's a way. If he can't do it, it doesn't mean that I can't. Ling Xiao wasn't being arrogant. He had the mountain river martial soul, which was something the evil beast demon king couldn't compare to. The Yuan Venerate shook his head and didn't stop Ling Xiao. Young people always had to suffer some setbacks before they knew the hardships of life. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't learn their lesson. However, a moment later, his eyes widened even more than when he had seen the Earth Spirit core. Damn, how did you do it, kid? The Earth Spirit core was gone. He had seen Ling Xiao put the Earth Spirit core into his storage ring with his own eyes. How had he done it? Master, don't worry about how I did it. Anyway, now that I have this thing, the next step is to deal with the evil beast demon king. Ling Xiao wasn't willing to explain further. If he lied too much, it would be difficult for him to make up for it in the future. That's true, but what do you plan to do with those people in prison? Yuan Venerate asked. Naturally, I want them to owe me a favor. I think those people should be warriors from the heavenly dragon continent. If I'm in trouble in the future, I'll need friends to help me. Ling Xiao said after some thought. But some people might not accept this favor. Instead, they might kill you. Yuan Venerate reminded him. Of course I know that. Because of that, I'll release them together with the Moon Maiden after dealing with the evil beast demon king. If anyone dares to disrespect me, I'll just kill them. After all, there's no point in keeping those ungrateful bastards alive. Ling Xiao smiled. Looks like I was worried for nothing. You're not stupid. Yuan Venerate yawned. I can't take it anymore. I was lured out by the Earth Spirit core, and I'm still exhausted. I'm going to sleep for a while more. You go first. If you need any help, just call Master. I've almost recovered. All right, Ling Xiao put the Yuan Venerate back into the beast ring before leaving the fork and entering the path where the evil beast demon king was recuperating. However, as soon as he entered the path, a roar was suddenly heard. Immediately after, the gigantic cocoon shattered, and a silkworm crawled out from within. This silkworm was 2 to 3 meters long, and its entire body was like white jade. It looked very beautiful. However, it was also somewhat sinister. Think about it, that was a silkworm that was 2 to 3 meters long. The most troublesome thing was that its body was as thick as a bucket. It was simply a short, fat python. Evil Beast Demon King? Ling Xiao sensed the aura of the evil Beast Demon King from this fat silkworm. However, it was much weaker than before. This fellow probably hates you to death. The reason he wanted to stay here to recuperate was because he could absorb the energy of the Earth Spirit Core. In the end, the Earth Spirit Core was taken away by you, and he couldn't continue to recover. Yuan Venerate's voice was heard again. No way. Then why didn't he just recuperate near the Earth Spirit Core? Ling Xiao asked in confusion. Stupid. There is no way to set up an array formation near the Earth Spirit Core. He still has to set up a small 1,000 beast blood refining array to recuperate, Yuan Venerate replied. All right, let's not bother about this first. Hurry up and destroy this fellow. He is very weak now. Master, are you kidding me? Even if he is very weak, he is still not someone I can deal with. I originally intended to launch a sneak attack while he was recuperating. Now that he has woken up, let's flee and let the Moon Ladies deal with him. Ling Xiao wasn't that arrogant. He knew very well that even if he temporarily maintained the strength of a half-step Heavenly Venerate, he definitely couldn't go head-to-head with the evil Beast Demon King. That would simply be courting death. The evil Beast Demon King had just come out of the cocoon. When he saw Ling Xiao, all his old and new grudges erupted. His white, jade-like body turned scarlet with anger. Silkworm Baby's expression also became very sinister. Hurry up and run. Ling Xiao only had one thought now. He had already obtained the Earth Spirit Core anyway. Even if he couldn't kill the evil Beast Demon King, he would still have profited greatly. As long as he could escape this place, he would definitely make a profit this time. However, he had really run into trouble this time. He had never expected that the chubby evil Beast Demon King would actually be faster than him and block his way out in an instant, leaving him with no way to escape. Ling Xiao, who was about to dash forward, quickly stopped in his tracks. The evil Beast Demon King was really cunning. If he had chosen to attack directly, he could have used the other party's true origin to slip away. However, the other party hadn't attacked directly. Instead, he had blocked the only way out. This was clearly a prelude to taking care of him. The huge silkworm's eyes glared at Ling Xiao with fury and murderous intent. The ant that he had once ignored had repeatedly become a factor that caused him to fail on the verge of success. He was very upset. Very upset. Kid, don't even think about going anywhere today. I will definitely torture you properly and let you know the consequences of offending the 9 great demon kings of the true demon empire. The evil beast demon king bellowed furiously. A whistling gust of wind blew Ling Xiao away and sent him crashing heavily against the cave wall. Damn, this fellow was too ferocious. How could he be so ruthless in one breath? Although Ling Xiao did not suffer any injuries, wanting to escape had become a huge problem. Could he only enter the form of the ancient golden dragon? Apart from that, there was no other way. Kid, do you need my help? The Yuan Venerate asked. There is no need for that for the time being. Potential can only be stimulated between life and death. Chapter 479. Brat, you really make people speechless when you're stubborn. Why do you still care about that at a time like this? Yuan Venerate smiled bitterly. Wait until I'm really about to die before you make a move, Master. I think this evil beast demon king is at most at the celestial realm. I'm not so weak that I can't handle it. As long as there was a slight chance, Ling Xiao would seize it. He didn't think he would die. Boom! He directly entered his human dragon form, and his strength suddenly soared. Coupled with the powerful energy he obtained from the Moon Lady, he wasn't even afraid of a heavenly venerate who had just entered the celestial realm. Unfortunately, this was only temporary. Otherwise, it would be great. The moment Ling Xiao entered his human dragon form, the true essence in his whole body circulated wildly, and his aura suddenly soared. From top to bottom, his whole body exuded a powerful aura. At that moment, the evil beast Demon King actually retreated more than 10 meters. Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment, but he immediately understood. Dragons were the kings of all beasts. During the prehistoric times, the dragon race was a powerful existence that ruled all beasts. All beasts and insects had to obey the orders of the dragon race. Dragon aura naturally had a suppressive effect on the evil beast Demon King in his current form. Run my ass. Maybe I can fight. Ling Xiao suddenly changed his plan. The look in his eyes also became tenacious. His fighting spirit continued to rise. The evil beast Demon King was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that this ant in front of him would dare to be so decisive in front of him. Then his anger became even more intense, because he felt that he was being looked down upon. Even an ant wanted to fight with him? Poof! He opened his mouth and shot a ball of silk at Ling Xiao. Although it was a silk thread, it could easily penetrate steel. Ling Xiao didn't dare to be negligent. Although he was now in his human dragon form, his strength was still much weaker than the other party. If he didn't seize the right opportunity, it would be impossible to kill him. The moment the silk thread was spat out, the evil beast Demon King's body suddenly bounced up. It didn't look like a chubby silkworm baby at all. It was more like a python that suddenly attacked its prey. Its speed was too fast. Ling Xiao watched all of this. He raised his right hand, and a chi sword flew out, blocking the incoming silk thread. Then, with the help of the rebounding force of the silk thread, he suddenly retreated, causing the evil beast Demon King to pounce on empty air. The escape route was wide open. However, Ling Xiao had no intention of running away. He knew very well that this was the evil beast Demon King trying to break down his fighting spirit. Once a person had the thought of running away, it would be impossible for them to fight with all their strength. The end result would be even worse, especially when facing such an opponent. It didn't matter if he lived or died. Ling Xiao would not choose to run away. He wanted to fight this battle to the very end. Shock and disappointment appeared in the evil beast Demon King's eyes. This human warrior in front of him was different from the others. He was really not easy to deal with. Evil beast Demon King, die. The phantom of the pestilence Demon King appeared behind Ling Xiao. Then he suddenly sped up and charged towards the evil beast Demon King. Just as he had expected, the moment the pestilence Demon King appeared, the evil beast Demon King was distracted, even if it was just a moment of distraction. But for Ling Xiao, it was definitely the best opportunity to attack. Puchi! After piercing through the evil beast Demon King's head, Ling Xiao turned around and attacked again. He knew that although the evil beast Demon King could only unleash the strength of a Heaven Realm cultivator, his own cultivation was at the Yin Realm. Naturally, he would not be killed so easily. As he turned around, his sword was blocked by the silk, and he failed to succeed. However, Ling Xiao had already expected this. The pestilence Demon King opened his mouth and spat out a ball of dark green gas, directly enveloping the evil beast Demon King's head. Bastard, you actually betrayed the true Devil Empire. In a moment of carelessness, the evil beast Demon King was actually seized by Ling Xiao to launch a series of attacks. Not only was his body pierced, he was also poisoned by the pestilence Demon King's plague poison, causing his strength to drop once again. Ling Xiao's attack still continued, the ice dragon sword in his hand thrusting out continuously. Puffed, puffed, puffed. The wounds on the evil beast Demon King's body grew more and more. Although this guy's recovery ability was similarly astonishing, Ling Xiao's attack speed was even faster. If the situation continued to develop like this, the one who died in the end would definitely be the evil beast Demon King. However, how could the dignified evil beast Demon King die so easily? Bang! An attack that appeared out of nowhere directly slapped onto Ling Xiao's body. At that moment, Ling Xiao's entire body was smashed to pieces. The heavenly dragon golden body was actually useless under this terrifying attack. Behind that silkworm baby, a terrifying, fierce beast appeared. You indeed possess a dragon soul. Dragons were the king of 10,000 beasts. As the true Devil Empire's general in charge of 10,000 beasts, the evil beast demon king's martial soul should also be the king of 10,000 beasts. The enormous wings flapped, and it was actually a complete skeleton. The power of frost twined around it, incomparably terrifying. Fortunately, the martial soul was a soul. Otherwise, with such a huge guy appearing, this cave would definitely explode. Frost Dragon Soul. This should be the martial soul of the Frost Dragon clan under the jurisdiction of the ancient Hell Dragon clan. Fortunately, Ling Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that the opponent's martial soul was one of the 9 great ancient dragon souls. If that were the case, he would have really kicked an iron plate today. Surprised? You were able to force this king to use his martial soul. You should be proud of yourself. You can die in peace. Seeing Ling Xiao's body shatter, with only his head remaining to speak, the evil beast demon king did not believe that this brat could survive. After all, this kind of recovery ability was definitely not something a trivial transcendent realm cultivator could achieve. The corner of Ling Xiao's mouth slipped into an imperceptible sneer as his head continued to fall to the ground. The evil beast demon king had already recalled the frost dragon soul and was ready to escape. With his current strength, he was far from the moon lady's opponent. He had to find a place to heal. He definitely could not stay here any longer. It was all because of that damn brat. Just as he turned his head to look at Ling Xiao, he suddenly felt the fear of death. His body, which should have been fragmented and broken, instantly merged into one. No, it was not just merging into one. What appeared in front of him was not Ling Xiao, but a 3 to 4 meter tall golden dragon, a body more than 10 meters long with bright golden scales, a body with the characteristics of 10,000 beasts. Without a doubt, this was the characteristic of the Golden Dragon clan, the king of the Dragon clan. Die. By the time he discovered this golden dragon, the opponent's attack had already finished condensing. A bright light shot out from the dragon claw, a light that seemed to be able to cut through the void. Heavenly Dragon, Divine Finger. The Heavenly Dragon Divine Finger in the form of the ancient golden dragon. In the end, Ling Xiao used this form that he had not used until now, because he felt that he could kill the evil beast demon king, so he had to do this. Boom! It seemed like only a single finger, but the moment it pierced through the evil beast demon king's body, it produced an extremely terrifying effect. The silkworm baby quickly collapsed and exploded. A severely injured soul desperately tried to escape from it. Phew! Chapter 480. I actually succeeded. Ling Xiao had already returned to his human form. Although his body had been scattered by the evil beast demon king, he had managed to reassemble himself by relying on the miraculous effects of the 5th level of the Sky Dragon golden body. Even now, he still found it somewhat unbelievable. Furthermore, the ancient golden dragon form was really terrifying. Although this was the first time he had used it, the power it unleashed was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Where's my Earth Spirit Core? Just as Ling Xiao was rejoicing, he suddenly discovered that the Earth Spirit Core in the Mountain River realm had disappeared. Not only that, but some of the rare medicinal herbs that had special healing effects had also disappeared. Damn it! Ling Xiao couldn't help but smile bitterly. I've long felt that there was definitely something wrong with the sky dragon golden body. Now it seems like it's true. After cultivating to the 5th level, the so-called rebirth from a drop of blood is real, but there is a price to pay. And this price is really huge. Smelly brat, you should be content. You've profited from a disaster. Yuan Venerate suddenly said from the beast ring. Profited from a disaster? Yes, didn't you feel it? The Earth Spirit Core was used as a material to repair your body. Generally speaking, the Earth Spirit Core can't be completely absorbed by the body of any martialist, but you're different. Your body was basically destroyed. Now, it's as if the Earth Spirit Core has condensed a new body. Yuan Venerate smiled bitterly. Even Master is a little jealous of your good luck. You actually condensed the Earth Spirit body without cultivating. I'm afraid that even a celestial grade treasure body would find it difficult to break through this defense. Furthermore, the Earth Spirit body will continue to grow stronger as your strength increases. Even Master isn't sure how strong it will ultimately be. Upon hearing this, Ling Xiao tried to circulate his true essence. Sure enough, he discovered that a thick, earthy yellow glow had appeared on his body. Not only had his physical strength increased several times, but even his true essence had become much more vigorous. In terms of quantity alone, even a transcendent 8th level martialist couldn't compare to him. It was really a blessing in disguise. Ling Xiao's originally disappointed mood suddenly improved. Boy, quickly go back and cultivate the Earth Spirit Core's energy is definitely more than this. If I'm not mistaken, the remnant energy from the Earth Spirit Core should be enough for you to break through to the Transcendent Realm's 6th layer. Yuan Venerate reminded him. All right, Ling Xiao nodded. However, before returning, he was prepared to release those trapped martial artists. Unfortunately, this evil beast demon king didn't have any treasures. In addition to those rare, fine, and common grade treasures that were thrown into the cave, the rest of the magical weapons and spirit stones were swallowed by this guy to restore his cultivation. The evil beast demon king seemed to have many beast-like abilities. Among the beasts, Ling Xiao knew that there was a kind of beast called the gold-eating beast that could recover its cultivation by eating gold, silver, copper, and iron. Perhaps the reason why the evil beast demon king's cultivation recovered so quickly was related to its special ability. Unfortunately, after Ling Xiao collected the evil beast demon king's soul, he discovered that because his mountain river martial spirit's level was too low, it could not be transformed into a martial spirit. Instead, it was directly frozen in the glacier. It seemed that he could only think of a way in the future when his cultivation increased to a certain level. Right now, it was better to release those martial artists as soon as possible so that they would owe him a favor. After all, a debt of gratitude was greater than any other debt. Although there would definitely be ungrateful people among them. There would definitely be people who would repay the kindness of a drop of water with a gushing spring. Although the people trapped in the prison were very strong, they didn't understand array formations. In addition, they were wearing special torture devices that prevented them from circulating their true essence. Therefore, it was impossible for them to escape with their own abilities. Seeing Ling Xiao, these people's eyes that were originally filled with despair had a little more color. Young hero, what happened just now? The evil beast demon king is dead. I'll let you all out now. Ling Xiao said faintly. The evil beast demon king is dead. Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. Then they cheered excitedly and cried bitterly. Among them, there were 2 Grotto Heaven realm experts. They were considered absolute powerhouses in the heavenly dragon continent, but they were trapped here all these years as blood slaves of the evil beast demon king, providing blood for the evil beast demon king. It was a fate worse than death. Thinking that they could see the light of day again, their excitement was definitely no less than coming back from the dead. But, young hero, there is an array formation set up by the evil beast demon king. Although there are people among us who understand array formations, we are unable to break it. Can you do it? Ling Xiao didn't say anything. He just smiled and pierced the qi sword into the center of the array formation. Crack! The array formation immediately shattered. In fact, from the moment he started speaking, he had already been cracking the array formation. There wasn't much time left. He would definitely faint from overexertion. So before that, he must do what he wanted to do quickly. Great, young hero is really good. Everyone was excited. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and opened the door of the prison. Then several qi swords shot out and unlocked all the shackles on these people. May I know your name, young hero? I will repay your kindness in the future. Ling Xiao from Yuehua School. Ling Xiao had originally planned to make these people owe him a favor, so he had to report his real name. Thank you. Let's go. In the prison, more than half of the people were preparing to leave out of gratitude to Ling Xiao. These people were naturally open and above-board people, people who knew how to repay kindness. Wait a minute. However, the ungrateful person soon revealed his foxtail. The person who spoke was actually the strongest Grotto Heaven Realm expert among them. He was wearing a purple robe. Although it was tattered since he had unlocked his shackles, he naturally had the demeanor of an expert. That kid's cultivation is mediocre, but he was able to break into the cave. Don't you think it's strange? It's a little strange, but this young hero has good intentions. Good intentions, my ass. I think this kid is in cahoots with the evil beast Demon King. Now that the evil beast Demon King is dead, he wants to do us a favor so that we can give him benefits. The purple-clothed Grotto Heaven Realm expert snorted coldly. Kid, hand over what you got from the evil beast Demon King, and this realm lord will let you live. Grotto Heaven Realm experts were respectfully called realm lords. Hee, just kill him and take his storage ring. Even if this kid is not in cahoots with the evil beast Demon King, he must have some kind of treasure on him. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to break into the cave, let alone kill the evil beast Demon King. Another yellow-clothed Grotto Heaven Realm expert spoke. Who else wants to do this? Ling Xiao looked at the two idiots in front of him indifferently. Since I dared to let you out, I must have something to rely on. You actually revealed your foxtail so quickly. How stupid. Chapter 481. More than 10 people stood out, and all of them were Heaven Realm experts. Novel. There's still more than 30 people left, and they still had a conscience. As long as they had a conscience, it was fine. If they had a conscience, they would know how to repay kindness. In that case, the 16 people who stood out could go die. Ling Xiao looked at the two Grotto Heaven Realm experts and said coldly, You two are really arrogant sector lords. You've cultivated for so many years and have such a strong cultivation, but you've cultivated for nothing. You're ungrateful and shameless. Didn't you want to kill me? Why aren't you doing it? The others were a little confused. Ling Xiao's cultivation wasn't strong. So where did he get the confidence to challenge a Grotto Heaven Realm expert? The purple-clothed Grotto Heaven Realm expert laughed and said, It's really been a long time since I walked in the outside world. I didn't expect that a small Heaven Realm warrior would dare to speak to this realm lord like this. Kill him. You don't have to walk around in the outside world anymore, because you will die today. Ling Xiao pulled out the ice dragon sword. In less than a quarter of an hour left, he could still maintain the cultivation of the celestial realm and could still fight with the celestial realm martial artists. Hula, under the order of the purple-clothed Grotto Heaven Realm expert. 4 or 5 Heaven Realm experts pounced on Ling Xiao. They didn't have the slightest sense of shame. They didn't have the slightest intention of repaying kindness. Greed had taken over all of them. Boom! Suddenly, the warrior who pounced out exploded in midair. His body turned into pieces, and blood splattered all over the ground. The Moon Lady appeared. She stood behind Ling Xiao indifferently and waved casually. Moon Lady, thank you for your trouble. I will repay this favor in the future. Ling Xiao said to the woman behind him. Between you and me, what's the point of talking about favors? Is that evil beast Demon King dead? The Moon Lady asked with a smile. Dead. You stinking brat, you really scared me to death. You actually secretly went to deal with the evil beast Demon King. How many lives do you have? The Moon Lady suddenly said angrily. I was just afraid that you would get hurt. Ling Xiao scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Now that he thought about it, the previous operation was really too dangerous. The evil beast Demon King's attack was too strong, so much so that the treasure that the Moon Lady gave him didn't have any effect. If he hadn't snatched the Earth Spirit Core in advance, he would have been in trouble. It seemed like he had to do less of such crazy things. Little brat. I'm afraid of getting dirty, so of course I have to deal with the trash. The purple-clothed grotto heaven expert sneered and suddenly attacked. Purple flame, mystic dragon palm. His hands suddenly burned with purple flames, and the temperature in the cave suddenly rose. The celestial realm martial artist who was closest to him actually burned up in an instant and screamed incessantly. This martial skill is not bad, but it's useless. The Moon Lady probably knew about Ling Xiao's current situation, so she didn't want to waste any time. Her figure suddenly flashed, and 2 Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists were lifted up by her like babies. Is the Grotto Heaven Realm very strong? Since you have done something ungrateful, you should be prepared to die. After saying that, Sword Chi burst out from her hand. The 2 Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists were sliced into noodles just like that. There wasn't even a trace of blood on her body. After doing that, she waved her sleeves lightly, and the other dozen or so people were turned into dust on the spot. Grotto Heaven Realm martial artists were reduced to ashes while talking and laughing. This was the strength of the Moon Lady. Ling Xiao looked at all this, but his hands were tightly clenched together. Although my cultivation is now much stronger than my peers, I would still be at a disadvantage if I were to encounter a celestial realm martial artist like the Flame Deity, let alone a Grotto Heaven Realm martial artist or Yin Yang Realm martial artist like the Moon Lady. Ling Xiao's desire for strength grew even stronger. Not enough. Far from enough. I'm still too weak. There are many things I want to do that I can't do. You guys can leave. Don't forget that I didn't save you for free. Ling Xiao looked at those people who still had a conscience and waved his hand lightly. Thank you, young hero Ling Xiao. We will never forget your kindness. They originally wanted to repay the favor, and now that they saw the beautiful and powerful woman behind Ling Xiao, how could they not repay the favor? After saying that, they all turned and left. Let's go back too. Ling Xiao turned back and glanced at the Moon Lady as he watched those people leave. However, just as he was about to leave, his body went limp and he lost consciousness. Time was up. Ling Xiao. The Moon Lady hurriedly hugged Ling Xiao when she saw this. She checked his breathing and couldn't help but smile bitterly. This fellow actually dared to borrow my quintessential origin energy to increase his strength for a short period of time. This secret technique was probably taught to him by a Yuan Venerate. Is this Yuan Venerate trying to kill Ling Xiao? The Moon Lady smiled bitterly and shook her head. She wasn't in a hurry to leave. After all, without the evil beast Demon King, she was the absolute ruler of the 1,000 Ghost Forest. Anyone who was tired of living and came looking for her would be courting death. Boom! Suddenly, a wave of energy surged out of Ling Xiao's body and poured into every part of Ling Xiao's body. At the moment, Ling Xiao was in his weakest state. It was very difficult for him to withstand such a violent and domineering power. The Moon Lady hurriedly placed her jade-like hands on Ling Xiao's chest and poured her quintessential origin energy into Ling Xiao's body. guiding that domineering power to circulate in Ling Xiao's body more gently. Her quintessential origin energy formed a protective layer that protected every part of Ling Xiao's body so that Ling Xiao wouldn't die on the spot from excessive absorption of energy. Is this the power of the Earth Spirit? This brat couldn't have swallowed the Earth Spirit core, right? The Moon Lady smiled bitterly as she looked at Ling Xiao, who was lying motionless on the ground. This fellow was really too crazy. He really resembled the human monarch of the past. Actually, she didn't know. This time, Ling Xiao had dared to take the risk to deal with the evil beast Demon King purely because she was around. If she wasn't around, Ling Xiao would have been even more cautious. Ling Xiao's calculations had never been wrong. This time was no exception. Even if there were uncertainties, Ling Xiao could accurately calculate them. Of course, there would be some deviations. He had dared to look for the evil beast Demon King so boldly because he had taken into account the Moon Lady's powerful combat strength. However, the original plan had been for him to assassinate or severely injure the evil beast Demon King while he was recuperating. This way, the Moon Lady would have an easier time fighting him. However, there had been some deviations in the plan. Chapter 482. Of course, the integration of the Earth Spirit core into his body was also an accident. But the result was good. Now, the Moon Lady was continuously transferring her vigorous vital essence into Ling Xiao's body to control the domineering Earth Spirit power. Although the Earth Spirit power was domineering and violent, it was still something that no one could control. However, the Moon Maiden was a yin-yang realm expert, and it was naturally not difficult for her to tame a wild horse like an outstanding horse trainer. Under the guidance of the blue vital essence, the Earth Spirit power continued to merge into Ling Xiao's martial vein. Every time it merged, it would make Ling Xiao's vital essence thicker and make the space of the martial vein bigger. People who were not martial artists would not be able to understand why the martial vein did not look big, but it could accommodate a sea of true essence. In fact, the reason was very simple. The martial vein itself was something like a mustard seed space. It was very similar to a storage ring, but it could only hold and produce vital essence. Therefore, in theory, the space of the martial vein could be expanded infinitely. This required a large number of heaven and earth treasures to constantly strengthen it. The larger the martial vein space, the harder it was to break through. However, every breakthrough would increase one's strength by a shocking amount. Moreover, as one's cultivation increased, the total amount of vital essence that a warrior could produce would also increase, and the speed of filling the martial vein space would greatly increase. To put it simply, when the martial vein was only the size of a wine cup, the warrior's cultivation might be very low. At that time, the energy produced by the martial vein in a month would not be enough to fill the wine cup. When the martial vein became as big as a water tank, the warrior's cultivation might have increased by a lot. At this time, the energy produced by the martial vein in a month would be enough to fill a water tank. In other words, under normal circumstances, the larger the martial vein space, the more vital essence would be produced. Although the cultivation increase would be slower, it would not be too slow. Therefore, it was really beneficial. No matter which warrior it was, they all hoped that their martial vein space could become bigger. Originally, the martial vein space of a warrior in the martial vein realm could increase as his cultivation increased. At the peak of cultivation, the space of a martial vein was about 1 cubic meter. Whether the energy in one's body was in a gaseous, liquid, or solid state, it could only be stored in such a large space. Therefore, the true essence of a top martial vein expert was at most 9 cubic meters. After reaching the transcendent realm, the space within the 9 martial veins would slowly expand as one's cultivation improved. Basically, every realm increased the space by 1 cubic meter. This was the direct reason why the higher one's cultivation was, the more vigorous one's true essence would be. Logically speaking, Ling Xiao's cultivation was at the mid-stage transcendent realm 5th layer, so his martial vein space was only 14 cubic meters. But that wasn't the case. due to the fact that he had fused with the golden dragon blood and other natural treasures. His martial vein space had been greatly strengthened. Now his martial vein space was about 17 cubic meters. In other words, he was equivalent to an 8th layer transcendent realm cultivator. This was the reason why his true essence was much denser than other martial artists of the same realm. This time, the Earth Spirit Core helped Ling Xiao increase his martial vein space. The Moon Maiden could clearly feel that as the Earth Spirit energy continued to enter his martial vein space, Ling Xiao's martial vein space was also constantly expanding. However, even though the martial vein space was constantly expanding, the speed at which the true essence was being filled was still astonishing. I'm afraid you're the only one who can make a breakthrough while unconscious. The Moon Maiden shook her head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The terrifying Earth Spirit energy was forcibly suppressed by her into Ling Xiao's martial vein and began to fuse with Ling Xiao's true essence. Late Transcendent Realm 5th Layer, Peak Transcendent Realm 5th Layer. It continued to climb. When the Earth Spirit energy completely fused with Ling Xiao's martial vein, Ling Xiao's cultivation had also broken through to the early stage of the Transcendent Realm 6th Layer. While he was unconscious, he had unknowingly broken through a major realm in his cultivation. Moreover, his martial vein space had now reached 20 cubic meters. This meant that Ling Xiao's total true essence was now not inferior to a half-step heavenly venerable. The size of his martial vein space was also comparable to an ordinary half-step heavenly venerable. This was the terrifying aspect of the Earth Spirit Core. Not only that, the Moon Maiden also discovered that Ling Xiao's body had already become an Earth Spirit body. In other words, this Earth Spirit energy was only a remnant. Little guy, you're really different. The Moon Maiden withdrew her jade-like hands and helped Ling Xiao wipe his body. Then, she helped him change into a clean set of clothes. After that, she brought Ling Xiao back to the cave from before. When Ling Xiao woke up from his coma, the first thing he saw was the Moon Maiden who was looking at him with concern. However, because he had woken up in a hurry, he accidentally kissed the Moon Maiden's lips. That was my first kiss. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. The Moon Maiden hurriedly retreated to the side with a flushed face. Little brat, what are you doing? Sister Moon Maiden, you're so beautiful, Ling Xiao said with a smile. He realized that the Moon Maiden did not react too violently. Instead, she began to flirt with him. What nonsense are you talking about? Do you believe that I won't kill you with my sword? The Moon Maiden wanted to show her fierce side, but she could not do so in front of Ling Xiao. Hee sister, can you bear to do that? Ling Xiao laughed. Little rascal. The Moon Maiden said in annoyance, I really lose to you. She did not know what was wrong with her. She had lived for more than 100,000 years and had never fallen in love with anyone. In the past, she had only admired the human king. Why was she so reluctant to part with this little brat? Hee sister, don't worry. I'll take responsibility. Besides, I've never kissed a girl before. This is my first time. Sister, you're taking advantage of me. Ling Xiao said. Humph, who doesn't have their first time? What? Ling Xiao was shocked. No way, Sister Moon Maiden. You've never kissed anyone before? Nothing. You're making a fuss over nothing. All right, since you've woken up, I should go back. Now that the evil beast demon king has been killed, I should go back and prepare for the moon arrival pagoda ascension ceremony. Do you want to go back with me? The Moon Maiden hurriedly changed the topic. Otherwise, she really did not know how to face Ling Xiao. No, I still have something to deal with. Now that his cultivation had broken through to the Transcendent Realm 6th Layer, and he still had the all-evil beast soul spear in his body. He wanted to kill Wang Shi, Qin Wu, and Wu Yang. He would not leave any of the people who wanted to kill him alive. Do as you wish. Just be careful, the Moon Maiden said. Sister Moon Maiden, I've made up my mind. Ling Xiao suddenly said something that did not make sense. What have you made up your mind? The Moon Maiden asked doubtfully. I'm not going to worship you as my master, Ling Xiao said seriously. You're not going to worship me as your master? Chapter 483. Hee, I want to take you as my wife. Ling Xiao added. What? The Moon Maiden looked at Ling Xiao with her mouth agape. She had never been so surprised before. Do you know what you're saying? I'm the Moon Maiden of the Yuehua school. I'm a Yin-Yang realm powerhouse, an old monster who has lived for 100,000 years. So what? Are you unwilling? Ling Xiao stared at the Moon Maiden and asked. Me. As long as you're willing. Everything else is not a problem. If you say that you're the Moon Maiden of the Yuehua school and a Yin-Yang realm powerhouse, then I'll become the sect master of the Yuehua school. We'll both be Yin-Yang realm powerhouses. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with confidence. Lunatic, the Moon Maiden smiled bitterly. Then she walked to the entrance of the cave. Goodbye, Yuehua school. Her mind was in a mess. She didn't know how to answer Ling Xiao's question. She didn't agree. She felt uncomfortable if she didn't agree. Seeing the Moon Maiden leave, Ling Xiao shouted, If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. However, shouldn't you change the reward you gave me previously? In any case, I won't acknowledge you as my master. That's what you asked for. The Moon Maiden's voice had already faded into the distance, but Ling Xiao smiled. She didn't refuse, so there was still hope. Anyway, he was still young. He had plenty of time to catch up to the Moon Maiden. However, he had to speed up. As for the Moon Advent Pagoda Ascension Ceremony, he would definitely get first place. He couldn't acknowledge the Moon Maiden as his master, but there were other benefits waiting for him. He couldn't acknowledge her as his master, and he couldn't marry her for the time being. However, he could at least live with her, right? Ahem, don't misunderstand. They would just be living in the same place at the same time. Although he wouldn't be her master in name, he would still be her master. He could still receive guidance from the Moon Maiden, but he didn't have to give up pursuing her because of her master's identity. If he wanted to do that, he had to at least get first place in the Tower Ascension ceremony. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the right to negotiate with the Moon Lady. Smiling, Yang Kai sat back down and checked his current condition. After confirming that there were no problems with his body and that his cultivation had stabilized at the Transcendent Realm's 6th layer, he stood up with relief. It was time for revenge. There were less than 10 days until the Moon Arrival Festival, so he really had to hurry. Hula! He extended his golden dragon wings and flew out of the cave towards the direction of the Shaw family castle. After a few minutes, Ling Xiao landed. Although he could use the golden light dragon wings to fly for a little longer, he still couldn't keep it up. However, he was about to reach the Shaw family's castle. He intended to find someone to ask about the current situation in the Shaw family's castle. Otherwise, if he were to blindly go there, wouldn't Wangshi be there for nothing? Right now, it was still early. In the Dragon Submission Mountain Range, there were still quite a number of martial artists moving about. After all, he had stayed in the Thousand Ghost Forest for a long time. Even if there were cultivators who didn't dare to enter the mountain range because they were afraid of him, they weren't afraid anymore. There are people over there. Ling Xiao looked over and saw that about 1 li away, there were 4 people walking in the mountains. It looked like they were heading towards the Shah family castle. They were probably here to gather herbs or hunt. They had already finished their day's work and were preparing to return. Using his cloud dragon divine travel, Yang Kai chased after them. Although he didn't need to fly, his movement skill was still outstanding and his speed was still very fast. It wasn't until Ling Xiao appeared beside these 4 people that they suddenly noticed that there was an extra person behind them. The 4 of them were all startled. They all drew their weapons and pointed them at Ling Xiao. Who are you? Why are you following us? The one who asked was the strongest of the 4, an early Transcendent Realm 6th layer cultivator, the same as Ling Xiao's current cultivation. The other 3 were only at the Transcendent Realm 3rd layer and had probably been brought out for life experience. Hey, don't be so nervous. I was chased by a vicious beast and just ran out of the forest. I just happened to run into you. I didn't follow you. Ling Xiao hurriedly waved his hand. Words aren't proof. Who knows what you're doing? Did you try to sneak attack us, but were discovered by my big brother? The one who spoke was a young girl about 15 or 16 years old, only 1 or 2 years older than Ling Xiao. Her cultivation was naturally not as good as Ling Xiao's, but she was definitely a genius. Her weapon was actually a crossbow, and at this moment it was aimed at Ling Xiao, as if she was about to attack at any moment. Being misunderstood like this, Ling Xiao was quite unhappy. If this young master really wanted to sneak attack you, none of you would be able to survive, yet you're still standing there and talking. Another arrogant little girl. Geniuses are bound to be arrogant and self-righteous. Xiao Jiao, shut up. The leader of the group was more astute. He was a veteran of the world and could tell that Ling Xiao was strong, although he didn't know his exact cultivation. Since the other party didn't attack, he didn't intend to offend him. Brother, didn't you hear me tell you to shut up? Humph. The girl snorted coldly and kept her crossbow. She stood aside angrily and stopped talking, but the way she looked at Ling Xiao was still wary and suspicious. The leader laughed bitterly and said, Brother, don't mind her. Xiao Jiao is just a little more cautious. After all, your sudden appearance really gave us a shock. It doesn't matter. Ling Xiao shrugged his shoulders and said, Why would I care about such a small matter? It's just that I need to make a trip to the Shaw family castle. I wonder if you guys can tell me about the current situation here. It's my first time here, so I'm not too sure. Although Ling Xiao was a little unhappy with the girl's overreaction, but thinking about it carefully, it was understandable. Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered to bicker with her and went straight to the main topic. Brother, why are you going to the Shaw family castle? The leader asked warily. I'm a pharmacist. I've collected quite a number of medicinal herbs from the depths of the Dragon Submission Mountain Range. I'm going there to sell them. I heard that Fairy Linglong is buying them. Ling Xiao replied. As he spoke, he deliberately took out some rare herbs that were over 100 years old from his storage ring. This was also to reduce the other party's wariness. So that's how it is. Coincidentally, we're also going back to the Shaw family castle. Why don't we travel together? Seeing that you're quite skilled, it'll be safer for us to travel together. The leader looked at the herbs in Ling Xiao's hands and suggested. Thank you very much. However, since I want your protection, I'll give you these 4 high-grade vital elemental dawn as a gift. By doing this, he still wanted to get closer to these 4 people, hoping to get more accurate information from them. High-grade vital elemental dawn were insignificant to him, but to these martial artists, they were still very precious. These are perfect high-grade vital elemental dawn. Its medicinal effect is almost comparable to the highest grade vital elemental dawn. It's too precious, we can't accept it. The leader hurriedly shook his head. Brother, are you afraid that I've poisoned the herbs? You'll know after you go back and test it. Ling Xiao said lightly. No. How could that be? Since brother is so kind, I'll accept it. My name is Zhan Lei. How should I address you? Chapter 484. Obviously, the 4 perfect high-rank true elemental pills had completely opened Zhan Lei's heart and made him trust Ling Xiao. That was why he asked for his name and what Ling Xiao's name was. Yu Ling. Ling Xiao made up a name, taking the surname Yu knew and his surname. Good name. But what is Brother Yu's cultivation? You actually dared to venture into the depths of the Dragon Subduing Mountain Range alone? Zhan Lei asked again. Early Transcendent, Realm 5th Layer. This was the template Ling Xiao redefined. He planned to use this template after returning to Ahua School. Otherwise, a 6th layer cultivation would be too exaggerated and would scare a lot of people and easily cause unnecessary trouble. Moreover, Wu Yang and Qin Wu both knew about this cultivation and had probably already told Mingyuan about it. So it was best to temporarily set the template at this stage. Transcendent Realm 5th Layer. You're just bragging. How old are you? The little girl named Xiao Jiao looked at Ling Xiao suspiciously. She is my cousin Lin Jiao Jiao. She was spoiled when she was young, so her temper is a bit bad, but she is still very kind. Zhan Lei introduced. The other two are my cousins, Zhan Long and Zhan Hu. The three of them have just broken through to the Transcendent Realm 3rd Layer and came out with me to gain experience. Although Ling Xiao was not very interested in the origins of these people, since they had introduced themselves, he might as well listen. Humph. My cousin Zhan Lei is an early Transcendent Realm 6th Layer cultivator. He is only 26 years old this year and is the most outstanding genius in our family. Lin Jiao coldly snorted and said proudly, and then, Ling Xiao didn't quite understand why this little girl was saying this. And then, I just want to tell you that if you have any bad ideas, you should give up as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will definitely not be able to escape my cousin Zhan Lei's thunderous means. The difference between you and him is like heaven and earth. Lin Jiao seemed to like her cousin Zhan Lei very much and worshipped him. It seemed that with this cousin of hers, she had nothing to be afraid of. Ling Xiao couldn't help but smile. What a naive child. He didn't bother to bicker with the girl, but looked directly at Zhan Lei and said, Brother Zhan, can you tell me what I just asked you? You mean the Xia family castle? Zhan Lei sighed and said, Now that Fairy Linglong has been killed, it's useless for you to go. Now the Xia family castle has become the territory of the Beast King Palace. Their core disciple, Wang Shi, is sitting there and has taken over all of Fairy Linglong's territory and inheritance. However, what's strange is that Wang Shi doesn't seem to care about it. He still continues to put a bounty on Ling Xiao. Hearing this, Ling Xiao was glad that he had put some makeup on his face. It was very different from the original portrait on the bounty poster. Then it should be fine for me to sell it to Wang Shi, right? No problem, but the price might be lower. Zhan Lei reminded. Ling Xiao smiled and didn't say anything else. The five of them continued on their way. Along the way, they encountered several waves of attacks from ferocious beasts. Ling Xiao secretly helped and did not expose his strength. However, this made Lin Jiao very dissatisfied. With Lin Jiao's eyesight, she couldn't find Ling Xiao's help at all. Therefore, she felt that Ling Xiao only knew how to hide all the way and refused to deal with the ferocious beasts. She wanted Zhan Lei to drive Ling Xiao out of the team. Zhan Lei rejected her request on the grounds that Ling Xiao was a pharmacist. Zhan Lei was calm. Although he didn't find Ling Xiao's help, he always felt that after Ling Xiao joined the team, it seemed that dealing with the ferocious beasts had become easier. Therefore, he naturally thought highly of Ling Xiao. Lin Jiao, that brainless girl with big breasts, really couldn't be compared with this person. Cousin Zhan Lei, how can you help outsiders? Lin Jiao wiped her tears and ran forward quickly. This silly woman, they haven't left the dragon's subduing mountain range yet. Does she think she's safe? Just as Ling Xiao shook his head and smiled bitterly, Lin Jiao ran into someone's arms. Haha, I didn't expect a beauty to throw herself at me while walking on the road. Looking carefully, she's really beautiful. This uncle wants her. The person who spoke was a bald man with a ferocious appearance. At this time, the words coming out of his mouth were even more vulgar. However, Ling Xiao didn't know this person and had no interest in saving that silly woman. This Lin Jiao deserved to suffer a little. Otherwise, she really didn't know how dangerous society was. Oh no! When Zhan Lei saw the bald man, his face suddenly changed. Who is he? Ling Xiao asked curiously, because the other party's cultivation was only at the middle stage of the Transcendent Realm, slightly stronger than Zhan Lei. If Zhan Lei teamed up with his cousin, it was possible to defeat this person. Why was his expression so horrified and scared? Flower Taisway, Jean Lay replied. I don't know him. Brother Yu is from outside, so you may not know. Flower Taisway was originally a famous flower thief in the Shaw family castle. He has done a lot of shady things with Fairy Linglong. The only brothel in the Shaw family castle was jointly opened by him and Fairy Linglong. He can be considered one of Fairy Linglong's men. Jean Lay smiled bitterly. This person is cruel and vicious. Most of the women he has played with are worse than death. He especially likes women who practice martial arts, saying that it's exciting to play with them. Oh, he's a scumbag. Ling Xiao nodded. Not only that, but recently this guy submitted to Wang Shi and became Wang Shi's chief steward. He's in charge of the brothel business. He's crazier than before. If little sister falls into his hands, it's over. Jean Lay's face was a little pale. He's actually one of Wang Shi's men. Then he should have also chased after Ling Xiao, right? This guy is very cunning. Among the cultivators who chased after Ling Xiao, he's the only one who's safe and sound and hasn't left the Shaw family castle. The rest are either dead or escaped. Jean Lay replied, That's easy to handle. What? Before Jean Lay understood what he meant, he saw a shadow pass by him. Then Lin Jiaojiao was thrown over. Little girl, remember, think more with your head when you go out in the future. Don't just use your mouth. Bang! When the voice fell, Hua Hua Taiswei had fallen to the ground, with 4 swords inserted in his limbs, deeply pierced into the soil. Ah! A shrill scream followed. When you hurt those women, you should have heard this scream. What do you think now? Isn't it more enjoyable to shout it out yourself? Everything happened too fast. It was almost a blink of an eye. Jean Lay looked at Lin Jiaojiao in his arms and listened to the scream of Hua Hua Taiswei. His eyes were completely dull. Just now he was still worried about how to save his cousin, but now he found that the ferocious man who held his cousin and touched her with a big hand had been subdued. He's really not an ordinary person. After a long time, Jean Lay came back to his senses. He always felt that Ling Xiao was not ordinary, but he really didn't expect that Ling Xiao would deal with Hua Hua Taiswei so easily. Chapter 485. As for Lin Jiaojiao, she felt even more incredible at this time. She has always looked down on Ling Xiao. She has repeatedly mocked and ridiculed Ling Xiao. In the end, she was saved by this person. Otherwise, if she fell into the hands of Hua Hua Taiswei, her life would be worse than death. A very complicated expression immediately appeared on her face. Self-mockery? Shame? Shock? There were probably all kinds of emotions, but there was no contempt and disdain. Thinking about the things he had done before, he really felt like a child who had never seen the world throwing a tantrum. It was so embarrassing. Thank you for saving me. Lin Jiaojiao said. Save you? Ah, don't get me wrong. I just think you are an eyesore, so I threw you over. It's not saving. Don't be grateful. I dealt with him for other reasons. Ling Xiao was really not so kind to save a person who mocked and ridiculed him. But this woman took up too much space. Throwing her to Jean Lay was just a matter of convenience. You. Lin Jiaojiao really wanted to find a hole to hide in at this time. She thought she was a blessed girl, but it turned out that he didn't care about her at all. Her face was pale, and she lowered her noble head. The young man who looked useless at first seemed so tall in her eyes at this time. On the other side, Hua Hua Taiswei, who was screaming, also came to his senses. Bastard, you dare to attack me. Do you know who I am? The pain made it difficult for him to speak. His face was full of pain and anger at this time. I am Hua Hua Taiswei. You dare to attack me, I will kill your whole family. TSK, if I didn't know your identity, I would be too lazy to do it. Ling Xiao sat directly on Hua Hua Taiswei, and then continued, Linglong Fairy's gigolo, Wang Shi's slave, haha, look who I am. At this moment, Ling Xiao removed the disguise on his face and showed his true face. Ling Xiao, Hua Hua Tai Sui. Zhang Lei and others almost shouted this name at the same time. Haha, I seem to be quite famous. Ling Xiao laughed. Impossible. You fled into the forest of 1,000 ghosts. How could you still be alive? Hua Hua Tai Sui shouted in horror. Zhang Lei and the others were also surprised. It was said that cultivators who entered the 1,000 ghost forest, even if they were Heaven Realm masters, had never come out alive. This Ling Xiao was just an early transcendent realm, early stage cultivator, so how could he still be alive? I'm really sorry. I'm really still alive. What can I do? Even the heavens aren't willing to take my life. Ling Xiao shrugged. Kill him. Hurry up and kill him, you bunch of trash. Hua Hua Tai Sui shouted at the people he brought. However, none of them dared to approach Ling Xiao. In the hearts of the Xia family's martial artists, Ling Xiao was basically a demonic god. After killing Fairy Linglong and 2 other experts from the Yuehua school, he fled into the forest of 1,000 ghosts. He had thought that the Fiend Celestial was finished, but today the demon god had appeared again, and he was still alive and well. He had completely subdued Hua Hua Tai Sui with one move. He was not human at all. It seems that your subordinates don't dare to make a move. Ling Xiao chuckled. If you don't make a move now, none of you will live when you return. Hua Hua Tai Sui roared angrily. Ling Xiao also looked at those people and said calmly, I'll give you a chance to live. Everyone come here and stab this guy. Then you can leave. Hero Ling, is what you said true? Of course. Don't you want to kill this villain? Yes. Of course we want to. This Hua Hua Tai Sui is unpardonable. We've wanted him dead for a long time. Unfortunately, we're too weak to be his opponent. Then it's easy. Now that I'm giving you such a chance, you must seize it. Ling Xiao stood up and walked to the side, making a gesture of invitation. Hua Hua Tai Sui wanted to struggle. But strangely, no matter how he moved, he could not get rid of the 4 swords. Don't waste your energy. Those aren't ordinary swords. They're a small confinement array. Unless you have the strength of 10,000 jin, don't even think about it. Ling Xiao said calmly. Those subordinates of Hua Hua Tai Sui walked over with their swords. Hua Hua Tai Sui, you deserve this. Do you still remember my daughter who was sold to the brothel? And my wife? Everyone here has a deep hatred for you. Kill. If you dare to touch me, the Beast King Palace will not let you off. Hua Hua Tai Sui was anxious and finally mentioned the Beast King Palace. Hee, the Beast King Palace will not care about the life of a rapist. As for that Wang Shi, I'm going to the Xia Castle to take his life. When those people heard this, they no longer hesitated. Uft, uft. In an instant, Hua Hua Tai Sui's body was stabbed more than 10 times. He looked like he was on the verge of death. Remember one sentence. The heavens are clear and the retribution is not good. After saying this, Ling Xiao cut off Hua Hua Tai Sui's head. Looking at the completely dead Hua Hua Tai Sui, Zhang Lei and the others felt a chill in their hearts. This young man is too scary. Demon God, Zhan Long exclaimed. Are you talking to me? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Brother Ling, please spare my cousin. Zhan Lei hurriedly pulled Zhan Long and Zhan Hu to kneel down. Don't worry, I'm not a bloodthirsty person. Demon God, TSK, I like this title very much. All right, there's nothing for you here. We're about to reach the Xia Castle. You don't need my protection. You can go back by yourselves. Ling Xiao said with a smile. I'm sorry. At this time, Lin Jiaojiao's emotions were a little out of control. She kept kowtowing to Ling Xiao. She was probably frightened by Ling Xiao's decisive killing style. Goodbye. Ling Xiao did not look at Lin Jiaojiao. With a move, he disappeared into the dense forest. Little Jiao, now do you understand why your cousin told you not to be too arrogant outside? Zhan Lei sighed and sat on the ground. Fortunately, he is not the kind of person who kills innocent people. Otherwise, based on what you said to him before, he definitely has a reason to kill you. Cousin, I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Lin Jiaojiao cried. She was really scared. She had always grown up in the family and received a lot of care from the elders. She was used to bullying people. She was still like this outside. She could be considered lucky to have met Ling Xiao. If it had been someone else, they might not have had it so easy. Well, don't cry. It's good that you know you're wrong. Remember, after returning to the Sha Castle, none of you talk nonsense. Otherwise, you will be killed. Zhang Lei said to the two cousins behind him. Got it, cousin. Chapter 486. Early in the morning, the gate of Linglong's celestial palace was crowded with people. The reason was that a dead body was hanging on the gate of Linglong celestial palace. It was Hua Hua Taisui's. His head had been cut off, but it had been put back together. He looked miserable. He had been stabbed many times, and he was still hanging there. Many people in the crowd were cheering for him secretly. Hua Hua Taisui had run amok in the Sha Castle for many years. He had done many evil things. Everyone had the right to kill him. However, no one had been able to deal with him. Those who were weak could not beat him. Those who were strong did not want to bother with him. However, on this day, this arrogant villain who had done all kinds of evil things was dead. It seemed that he had died a miserable death. I wonder who killed this villain. I will build a golden body for him and build a cultivation temple. A middle-aged man who looked very rich had tears in his eyes as he said excitedly. He used to be a local rich man. However, when he came back from a business trip, his wife and daughter were both dead. He found out it was Hua Hua Taisui who had killed them. Since he could not force them, he decided to kill them. His wife and daughter were hanging on a big tree at the gate of the Sha Castle. They looked miserable. I can do anything for him. Thank you, my great benefactor. Thank you, my great benefactor, for avenging my wife. A young man in his 20s knelt on the ground and cried bitterly. His wife was kidnapped by Hua Hua Taisui on their wedding night. However, he found her cold, dead body outside the next day. He hated it. He had been practicing martial arts for many years. Unfortunately, he was only a martial vain warrior. It was almost impossible for him to take revenge. However, he got what he wanted today. His wife could rest in peace in the afterlife. There were many people like this. Hua Hua Taisui, this person, owed too many blood debts to be counted. A man walked out of Linglong's celestial palace. It was Wang Shi. Looking at the dead body hanging there coldly, he asked, "Who did this?" "Palace Lord. There is a name on the dead body. It's Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao." Wang Shi flew into a rage when he heard the name. The reason he came to the Sha family fort was to hunt down Ling Xiao, to avenge his junior martial brothers and sisters, and to avenge his women. However, as soon as he arrived, he began to covet Fairy Linglong's sub-dragon martial soul. He originally thought that his plan was flawless, but in the end he was ruthlessly played by Ling Xiao. Not only did he fail to obtain the dragon subspecies martial soul, but he also watched as Ling Xiao escaped. The anger in his heart was already very strong, but now Ling Xiao had actually returned. This guy actually came back alive from the forest of 1,000 ghosts. How did he do it? Could it be that this guy really wasn't human, but a ferocious beast? Could it be someone impersonating him? I'm well aware of Ling Xiao's strength. He's at most an early-stage transcendent realm cultivator. How could he have killed Hua Hua Taisui so easily? What's more, there are several transcendent realm cultivators following Hua Hua Taisui. Wang Shi frowned, but immediately he thought of Taishan and Zhanlu, who had been killed by Ling Xiao. Those two had higher cultivations than Hua Hua Taisui. But hadn't Ling Xiao still killed them all the same? That little brat's strength really couldn't be judged by his cultivation alone. Otherwise, he would definitely suffer a great loss. "Palace Master, Do you think Ling Zhao's cultivation will improve again after entering the forest of 1,000 ghosts for nearly a month? A cultivator next to him asked worriedly, Do you think it's so easy to break through to the transcendent realm? Wang Shi angrily said, The higher one reaches the transcendent realm, the more difficult it is to break through. Even if his cultivation has broken through in the past 20 days, he's probably only at the middle or late stage of the transcendent realm. Even if he's at the peak of the transcendent realm, so what? Do you think I'm afraid of him? Although he said so, Wang Shi's heart had suffered a heavy blow. Less than 2 months ago, he learned that Ling Zhao's cultivation was only at the early stage of the transcendent realm. But now he was worried about Ling Zhao's terrifying breakthrough speed. This might be his only chance to kill Ling Zhao. If he missed this opportunity, Ling Zhao's cultivation and strength would become even more terrifying in the future. At that time, it would be absolutely impossible to kill him. I'm actually afraid of that little brat. Wang Shi felt incredulous, but this was his true feeling right now. He was truly afraid. Ling Zhao's potential was simply too terrifying. Put down the bodies and bury them, then wait. I believe Ling Zhao will show up soon, and this time I definitely won't let him escape. Wang Shi clenched his fists and said, There's a path to heaven, but he doesn't want to take it. Since he wants to die, I'll fulfill his wish. For Wang Shi, sending people into the mountains to search for Ling Zhao was a very unrealistic thing. Because most cultivators now had an extremely strong sense of fear towards Ling Zhao. Even if he was 10 times stronger, no one would dare take him on. Therefore, he could only wait for Ling Zhao to show up. Boom! Suddenly, Hua Hua Taisui's body exploded, and the 2 cultivators of the Linglong Celestial Palace who were close to the body were killed on the spot. It seemed the explosion had been calculated, and it would not have hurt the innocent. Hateful little brat. Wang Shi gnashed his teeth in hatred. He really hoped Ling Zhao would show up directly on impulse, so that he would not have to worry about him in the future. Report. At this moment, a man riding a horse rushed over from afar in a hurry. As he ran, he shouted loudly, Ling Zhao! Ling Zhao has shown up. He got off the horse when he got close. What's going on? Wang Shi asked. Palace Master, Ling Zhao is here. He has shown up in the Sha Castle. The cultivator reported loudly. Where is he now? Wang Shi was pleasantly surprised. He did not expect the idiot Ling Zhao to come to the Sha Castle. Was he courting death? Palace Master, Ling Zhao went to the brothel. Brothel? Ha! 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 This little brat is also a man. He went to the Sha Castle as soon as he arrived there. Wang Shi could not help but burst out laughing. The others also burst out laughing. No, Palace Master. That little brat said he was going to destroy the brothel and set those women free. What? Ling Zhao was not going to be a chivalrous person, but he had no choice. He was really annoyed, although he could not save all the people in the world by himself, and he did not have such a great ambition either. But he could do something if he was annoyed, especially since the brothel was the property of the Beast King Palace. He and the Beast King Palace had been enemies for a long time. Wouldn't it be great to destroy it? Wang Shi said coldly after hearing what the cultivator had said. Did he ask for help? No, Ling Zhao came here alone. I didn't see any help. The cultivator answered. Chapter 487. Wang Shi was still confused, but he didn't think Ling Zhao was such a reckless person. But he couldn't figure it out, so he decided to catch the guy first. He was a transcendent realm LV8 martial artist, and he had more than 1,000 martial artists under his command, all of whom were recruited from Fairy Linglong. Although these martial artists were generally only at LV3 or LV4 of the transcendent realm, they were still a powerful force when they joined forces. Since this guy was courting death, he would let him have his way. When they arrived at the brothel, it had become a ruin. More than a dozen corpses were lying on the ground, all of them belonging to the brothel's martial artists. These people had killed many women. As for the women of the brothel, they had all been released by Ling Xiao, and they were hiding somewhere else. As long as he could kill Wang Shi and destroy Linglong's celestial palace, these women would have nothing to fear. Ling Xiao was standing on the ruins, holding his sword, looking very handsome. As the breeze blew, his long black hair fluttered in the wind, and his black robe made him look like a legendary demon god. He was mysterious and terrifying. Brother Wang, you took so long. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Seeing Wang Shi, Ling Xiao said with a smile, Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to have the nerve to break into the Shah castle alone, but since you are here today, you will never leave here alive. A ferocious look appeared on Wang Shi's face. His eyes were full of killing intent, and the shadow of a giant python appeared behind him. The giant python was more than 30 feet long and as thick as a bucket. The giant python, martial soul. Ling Xiao said with a smile, No wonder you hate me so much. You must have a special relationship with Ximei, right? Yes, she is my first woman, and she is also my junior sister apprentice. Wang, she said angrily. Oh, I see. By the way, I have a question for you. Where are Wu Yang and Qin Wu from Yuehua School? They have returned to Yuehua School. They said they were going to prepare for the pagoda ascension ceremony. Wang Shi answered, You have asked enough questions. Just come down and die. Accept your death. Ling Xiao floated down and smiled. I'm sorry, Brother Wang. I'm not here to die. I'm here to kill you. Ha ha ha, boy, you've got guts. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Wang Shi sneered. From the moment you entered the Shah family castle, you lost your last chance to escape. Kill him. For a time, a large number of martial artists appeared out of nowhere. With 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside, Ling Xiao was completely surrounded. Not to mention escaping, it was probably impossible for him to even go out for a breather. The outermost layer was made up of archers. Every one of them held a shiny crossbow in their hands and aimed it at Ling Xiao. Needless to say, these crossbows and arrows must have been coated with poison. Since Wang Shi wanted to kill him, it was impossible for him to be merciful. This was basic knowledge. The cultivators in the middle were all cultivators between the 5th and 6th layers of the transcendent realm, all of whom were closely guarded, ready to launch a sneak attack on Ling Xiao at any moment. The frontmost layer was made up of cultivators below the 4th layer of the transcendent realm. To put it bluntly, they were cannon fodder, expendable goods. These people were used to weaken Ling Xiao's combat strength. Wang Shi quickly retreated to the middle of the group. Although he was confident he could kill Ling Xiao, he could use the most energy-efficient method. Naturally, he wouldn't choose to fight one-on-one. Ho ho! Such a grand welcoming ceremony. Should I be thanking Brother Wang? Ling Xiao still stood in the middle of the group with his sword in hand, looking at Wang Shi indifferently, not the slightest bit shaken by the sudden change in the situation. Humph, Ling Xiao, you're too cunning. I won't fight you one-on-one. This isn't a spar. I'll do whatever it takes to kill you. When Wang Shi said these words, his face didn't turn red or his heart didn't race. Obviously, he was a ruthless character. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I didn't expect Brother Wang to fight me one-on-one. If I wanted to kill someone, the means I used would be even more ruthless than this. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Wang Shi suddenly felt a little worried. What did Ling Xiao mean by this? Was he bluffing? Or was he really planning something else? Afraid? Ling Xiao chuckled and said, Come, let me see your determination to kill me. Today, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Either you die or I die. He didn't think Wang Shi was despicable, because if you want to kill someone, talk about fairness and justice. Talk about being open and above board. That would be too laughable and pedantic. Since they were already like fire and water, there was no such thing as despicable. Whoever killed the other represented justice. The weak didn't even have the right to choose death. Still not attacking. Wang Shi shouted angrily, Kill him! Although he was still a little worried, Wang Shi was confident that his arrangements today were sufficient. Even if Ling Xiao had some kind of plot, he could use the cultivators below the fourth layer of the transcendent realm to pave the way for him. This was the role of cannon fodder in the first place. All of you listen to me. Once I attack, I won't show any mercy. If you die, don't blame me when you go to hell. Ling Xiao simply put away the ice dragon sword and coldly glared at the hundreds of cultivators below the fourth layer of the transcendent realm. This was his final warning. If you die, I will give you a large pension. Our Beast King Palace will take care of your families. If you don't attack, I will kill you all. Wang Shi's voice was extremely cold. Kill. Hearing this, the cultivators' eyes suddenly turned blood red, and they completely lost their minds. In any case, if they attacked, they would die. If they didn't attack, they would die. They had to choose a more meaningful way to die. Standing there, Wang Shi sneered and quickly declared, Ling Xiao, you have no chance of survival. Today you must die. Ling Xiao didn't say anything, just calmly looking at the cultivators approaching him, a murderous intent gradually rising in his eyes. Although these people were forced to do so, he would not show them any mercy. Because once he showed mercy, he would be the one to die. He wasn't Buddha, nor was he the Holy Mother. It was impossible for him to sacrifice himself to save others. Behind him, the phantom of a giant hemlock tree appeared. The terrifying power released by this martial spirit caused these cultivators to tremble in fear. Die! Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of turbid air. The phantom of the hemlock tree trembled and stretched out its branches, covering a radius of several hundred meters. Except for those who were watching the show outside, Wang Shi and his subordinates were all wrapped up. Asterisk so. Asterisk countless spikes protruded from the ground. Ah, screams rang out one after another as cultivators fell one after another. Release the arrows. Wang Shi waved his hand gloomily. He didn't care about the lives of the cannon fodder in front of him, as long as he could kill Ling Xiao. Even if all the cultivators here died today, it didn't matter as long as he didn't die. Asterisk so. Asterisk arrows shot out one after another. Chapter 488. When the arrows shot by the archers got close to Ling Xiao, it was as if they had hit something. They shattered easily and fell to the ground, having no effect at all. However, the archers were in a miserable state. The sharp spikes flew past the experts in the middle and headed straight for the archers behind them. Another wave of screams rang out. Ling Xiao was the least afraid of numbers. On the contrary, the more people there were, the stronger he would become. In addition to the mountain river martial soul's ability to devour true yuan, there was now a simplified version of the 10,000 beast blood refining array. The 10,000 beast blood refining array was not as simple as refining the essence of beasts. It could also refine martial artists. Therefore, the more people that died, the stronger the 10,000 evil beast soul spear that Ling Xiao condensed would be, and the more powerful its combat power would be. Although this method of fighting seemed a little evil, since the other party was an enemy, he did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. On the ground, there was a strange red glow and some terrifying inscriptions. Not good, let's rush out first. This guy has set up a trap here. Wang Shi was experienced and quickly realized where the danger was. Therefore, he led the group of experts in an attempt to rush out of the iron mountain cage. Brother Wang, don't waste your time. Since I dared to keep you here, I won't give you a chance to escape. Ling Xiao's iron mountain cage had been strengthened by the earth's spiritual energy and could continuously absorb the earth's spiritual energy from the earth. Unless he was killed, no one could escape. Brat, you actually used such an evil array. If news of this gets out, you're finished. What a joke. If you can bully me with numbers, why can't I use an array? Ling Xiao said disdainfully, You said that my array is evil. Then, what kind of martial arts isn't evil? Unless you don't use it to hurt people. Wang Shi was speechless. He glared at Ling Xiao. Brother Wang, it's time to end this. After killing you, I still have to go back to Yuehua School to participate in the pagoda ascension ceremony. I don't have time to play with you here. Ling Xiao smiled and slowly walked towards Wang Shi. Suddenly, the ground bulged, and a sharp claw stretched out from the ground, directly grabbing Ling Xiao's vital point. Those claws were extremely sharp. Under the sun, they actually flickered with a strange cold light. The attack this time was extremely sudden and tricky. If it was someone else, they would have admitted defeat. However, Ling Xiao only smiled faintly, displaying one slight skill before an expert. He had been releasing the true essence ball all this time, so he had long discovered what was hidden underground. The reason why he hadn't moved was because he wanted to beat them at their own game. When the claw reached out, he suddenly made his move. His right hand had already turned into a dragon claw. He directly grabbed the thing underground and pulled it out. It was a large rat, a large white rat. It was as big as a dog. This was King Snake's pet. He had always relied on this pet. With this pet, he had once ambushed an enemy who was stronger than him and killed him. He was confident that this time, Ling Xiao would also fall for it. However, the reality made him shudder with fear. It's not good for such a big rat to run around. Let's kill it. Ling Xiao glanced at King Snake and couldn't help but chuckle. The true essence in his hand surged, and a thick qi sword shot out. Little White, be careful! King Snake cried out in alarm. The situation changed too quickly, and his expression hadn't changed yet. He originally thought that Little White's sneak attack could successfully injure Ling Xiao, and then he would launch an attack and definitely kill Ling Xiao. However, the situation now was completely different from what he had imagined. It had even turned around. He had a deep friendship with Little White. This little thing had accompanied him since he was young, from weak to strong. His relationship with him was even deeper than his parents'. He naturally didn't want Little White to die. If you don't want it to die, don't let it out. He smiled faintly at King Snake, and then the rat's shrill scream was heard. Squeak, 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 squeak. After you die, remember to choose the right master in the future. Don't mix around with that idiot. The qi sword had already pierced through the rat's body, and blood flowed all over the ground. Squeak! Before the rat died, it actually burst out a dazzling attack. It spat out a cloud of black smoke and shot directly at Ling Xiao's head. Of course, it didn't know what regret was. It was just a brainless rat that obeyed its master. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, Ling Xiao actually swallowed the black smoke into his stomach in one gulp. TSK, it's actually poisonous smoke. The taste isn't very good. I'll return it to you. Ling Xiao frowned, then opened his mouth and spat. The poisonous smoke that was originally inhaled actually flew towards King Snake and the others. Quickly hold your breath. King Snake shouted, but the speed of the poisonous smoke was too fast. Many martial artists were still hit. They fell to the ground and foamed at the mouth. After a while, they lost their vitality. In the sky, there was a figure covered by a cloud. It was actually the Moon Maiden. She originally planned to return to the Yuehua School alone. However, she was really worried about Ling Xiao, so she followed Ling Xiao to the Sha Castle. She was almost ready to attack just now, but she didn't expect Ling Xiao to be completely fine. She was worried for nothing. This guy is even more terrifying than I thought. The Moon Maiden shook her head and continued to watch the battle. Unless it was absolutely necessary, she definitely wouldn't attack. Otherwise, it would definitely be detrimental to Ling Xiao's development. Little White. In the blink of an eye, Little White sneaked up on Ling Xiao and killed him. It happened in the blink of an eye. Even if King Snake wanted to save it, it was already too late. Here you go. Ling Xiao threw Little White's corpse to King Snake. However, King Snake didn't catch it. He let the corpse fall to the ground and stabbed into the spikes. Trying to trick me? No way. King Snake said coldly. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and said, I really didn't play any tricks this time. I just thought that your little pet was not bad, so I wanted to return its body to you. Look at you, you're such a person. King Snake looked at Little White's corpse, and his face turned red and white. In the end, his various expressions converged into a bone-chilling, murderous intent. A snake spear appeared in King Snake's hand. He said to Ling Xiao in a bone-chilling voice, No matter what, you will die today. You've said the same thing many times. Even if you don't find it annoying, I'm tired of hearing it. Ling Xiao rubbed his ears and said to King Snake. In fact, he wanted to say the same thing. Today, all the martial artists here would die. He didn't care who was the mastermind and who was the accomplice. Whoever dared to chase after him would die. Tolerating the pursuit of the enemy wasn't kindness, but stupidity. Sooner or later he would be killed. Chapter 489. Ling Xiao hated being hunted down, so whoever tried to kill him, he would make them pay the heaviest price. Even if he couldn't kill them because of his strength, he would make sure they never had a day of peace. La Wang, she looked around. Those who were dead, and those who were injured. There was no one who could help him. Even his pet had been killed by Ling Xiao. Now, if he wanted to kill Ling Xiao, he would have to do it himself. The giant python phantom flickered, and a layer of green scales appeared on his body. If Yang Kai wasn't mistaken, this should be a defensive martial soul battle skill that used the giant python scales to enhance its defense. It was somewhat similar to Ling Xiao's heavenly dragon scale armor, but because it relied on the power of his martial soul, it was much tougher. However, Ling Xiao no longer relied on the heavenly dragon scale armor. His earth spirit body's defense in its normal state was even more terrifying than the heavenly dragon scale armor. On the green scales, wisps of dark green true yuan gas were emitted. At this time, Wang Shi looked like a giant python instead of a human. His eyes were fixed on Ling Xiao, as if he wanted to swallow Ling Xiao whole. The gigantic python's shadow coiled behind him. It also stuck its head out and stared at Ling Xiao with its huge eyes. Although a transcendent 8th layer cultivator was only at the initial stage, the fusion of his martial soul and soul had basically reached a perfect state, so he was much more powerful than the previous cultivators. Ling Xiao looked at Wang Shi indifferently, still maintaining an indifferent expression on his face. Indeed, his opponent was an early-stage, transcendent 8th layer cultivator. However, the all-evil beast soul spear in his body was a sure kill skill he had obtained from the evil beast demon king. And even now, it still possessed terrifying lethality. As long as Yang Kai chose the right opportunity to release it, Wang Shi would die. The gap in strength seemed great, but in fact, from the beginning of this battle, the outcome had already been decided. Suddenly, Wang Shi moved. The serpent spear abruptly pierced out, turning into numerous shadows. Like a poisonous snake, it spat out its tongue and pounced towards Ling Xiao. Although he was still standing in the same place, the snake shadow had already shot out at an extremely fast speed. In a battle between Transcendent Realm cultivators, even if they didn't engage in close combat, it was still possible to resolve it. The only difference was that, in terms of attack power, it was naturally not as great as using a weapon to strike the opponent's body. The snake shadows went straight for Ling Xiao's vital points, making it impossible for Ling Xiao to dodge. However, Ling Xiao didn't move. He extended both hands, and 6 swords of energy appeared. He had successfully condensed the 6th Qi sword on his way to the Sha Castle. After breaking through to the Transcendent Realm 6th layer, this matter had become much easier to accomplish. Pa! The 6 Qi swords blocked all of the Snake Shadow's attacks, producing a muffled explosion. However, this did not seem to be beyond Wang Shi's expectations. After the Snake Shadow appeared, he quickly rushed forward and swept the snake spear in his hand towards Ling Xiao's lower body. The terrifying power of the martial soul was added to the long spear, and it actually emitted a sound similar to the hiss of a python. Snake Shadow Spear Art python devour style. The snake spear seemed to have suddenly transformed into a giant python, opening its bloody maw and biting towards Ling Xiao's lower body. One could even clearly smell the fishy smell coming from it. Cloud Dragon Divine Trek Illusion Array. Ling Xiao used his movement skill to dodge, but Wang Shi once again rushed forward, the snake spear in his hand continuously attacking, forcing Ling Xiao to be unable to counterattack. The two of them exchanged more than 20 moves in a row inside the Iron Mountain cage. Wang Shi showed a sneer. He clearly understood Ling Xiao's cultivation, Ling Xiao's moves, and Ling Xiao's reliance. He believed that Ling Xiao's current cultivation was at most the early Transcendent Realm 6th layer. What Ling Xiao relied on was nothing more than that strange movement skill of his. Since that was the case, killing Ling Xiao would not be a problem. Snake Shadow Spear Art, Snake Shadow Cup. Suddenly, Wang Shi's move changed, and the snake spear in his hand flew out like an arrow, shooting towards Ling Xiao's throat. Ling Xiao originally intended to block it, but the moment he was about to react, he suddenly changed his move. Hemlock Martial Soul, 1,000-ton heavy staff. The huge Hemlock Martial Soul merged into the 1,000-ton heavy staff and smashed it into the ground. At that moment, the snake spear piercing towards Ling Xiao's neck disappeared, and another spear shot out from the ground. Is this the Snake Shadow Cup? It's really an exquisite spear art, but unfortunately it's useless in front of me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, still standing there steadily. Do you think you've seen through me? Do you think you can kill me? Do you think everything is under your control? Wrong. It's just a ridiculous illusion. Ling Xiao's voice sounded in Wang Shi's ears, causing him to panic. Ling Xiao's performance was too surprising. He had no choice but to reevaluate his opponent. It's time to end this. I don't have time to waste here with you. Thunder and lightning constellation, flying snow. Unknowingly, the ice dragon sword had already appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. Thunder and lightning roared, and the sword in his hand was filled with a ferocious and shocking power. Then it tore through the air and pierced towards Wang Shi. The cold aura caused Wang Shi's body to tremble. The dark green scales all over his body became even thicker. He clearly knew that he couldn't block Ling Xiao's attack, so he could only defend with all his might. As long as he wasn't hit by Ling Xiao's attack, he shouldn't die. The flying snow was too fast. It was so fast that Wang Shi couldn't react in time. The attack, which was wrapped in the power of lightning, hit the dark green scale armor fiercely. Bam! With a loud explosion, Wang Shi's body was actually sent flying backwards by the terrifying impact. The spikes on the ground were shattered by the dark green scales. Ha ha ha, it's fine. Ha ha ha, Ling Xiao, your attack is only SOSO. Although Wang Shi was in a sorry state, he was so excited that he laughed out loud when he saw that his scales had not shattered. Crack! Just as Wang Shi was laughing out loud, cracks appeared on his scales, and there were still residual electric currents coiling around them. It seems like I'm still lacking a little. Ling Xiao muttered to himself, and without waiting for Wang Shi to react, the sword in his hand thrust it out once again. This time the sword was even faster. Wind and rain, celestial phenomenon, flying snow. The wind's splitting effect and acceleration effect. The rain's corrosive effect. These were the key to Ling Xiao's choice. Break. Ling Xiao shouted softly. Crack. Pa. Finally, Wang Shi, who had just stood up, was knocked down again. Not only that, the cracks on his scales became bigger and bigger, and finally, they completely split open. The remaining sword Qi pierced Wang Shi's body. Damn it! Wang Shi felt a sweetness in his throat, and a trace of blood slowly seeped out from the corner of his mouth. He was actually injured. When fighting against martial warriors of the same level, he had not been injured for a long time. But this time, facing Ling Xiao, whose cultivation was clearly much weaker than his, he was actually injured. Chapter 490. This is troublesome. Wang Shi had a bad premonition that Ling Xiao had broken his scales and injured him. Novel La N, as expected of an 8th layer transcendent realm cultivator. Although he's only an early stage cultivator, he's still not easy to deal with. Ling Xiao couldn't help but nod with a regretful look on his face. In fact, if he didn't have to use the all-evil Beast Soul Spear, Ling Xiao wouldn't have been willing to use it. The all-evil Beast Soul Spear could only be condensed using the 10,000 Beast Blood Refining Array. Normally, it wouldn't be easy to condense it, so he really didn't want to use it. However, Wang Shi's defensive power was beyond his imagination. The toughness of his scales was terrifying. If he wanted to kill Wang Shi in one go, it seemed that he really would have to use the all-evil Beast Soul Spear to launch a surprise attack. What's more, he really couldn't waste any more time. He believed that someone had already reported what happened here to the Beast King Palace. It probably wouldn't be long before the disciples of the nearby Beast King Palace arrived. At that time, as long as even one core disciple of the Beast King Palace appeared, he would be in danger. If a Heaven Realm Elder came, it would be even more troublesome. Therefore, he had to end this quickly and then escape. Smelly Brat, your strength really exceeded my expectations. Originally, I didn't plan to use my high-grade, gold-grade martial skill on a piece of trash like you, but it seems that I have to use it today. Although Wang Shi said that nothing had happened to him, in fact, the 2 consecutive attacks had almost scared him out of his wits. His resentment and hatred for Ling Xiao had accumulated to the extreme. So at this moment, he would rather use a high-grade, gold-grade martial skill that he hadn't mastered yet. He believed that Ling Xiao was just an outer disciple of the Yuehua school, so he definitely wouldn't be able to learn such a high-level martial skill. Ling Xiao just looked at Wang Shi indifferently as the all-evil Beast Soul Spear in his body began to prepare. After all, the all-evil Beast Soul Spear was condensed by the evil Beast Demon King, so it wasn't very obedient. It was like a naughty pet, so if he wanted to control it to attack, he had to prepare a little. Superior gold grade martial skill? Ling Xiao was a little stunned. As far as he was concerned, a martial skill of this level could only be considered trash. This guy was like a treasure. But thinking about it carefully, Wang Shi's reaction should be the normal reaction. In the Yuehua school, only the core disciples were qualified to practice superior gold-tier martial arts. Even so, it was still very difficult to obtain one. As for the other disciples, it was already very good for them to be able to cultivate a gold-grade, precious-grade martial art. This Wang Shi was only the weakest core disciple in the Beast King Palace. It must not have been easy for him to obtain a superior gold-grade martial skill. Therefore, in his opinion, this thing was really a treasure. Dai, outer disciple of the Yuehua school. So what if your talent is outstanding? If you aren't a core disciple of your sect, you won't be able to learn such a powerful martial skill. Wang Shi sneered, and the Zhen Yuan wrapped around the snake spear in his hand became denser. At the same time, the giant python phantom behind him became smaller and smaller. In the end, only a green ball was left, which was integrated into this attack. Hiss! The long spear trembled and turned into a living giant python. The dense Zhen Yuan made the onlookers tremble. Is Hero Ling okay? Hero Ling, you must win. Damn it, this Wang Shi actually has a superior gold-grade martial skill. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. There were also powerful people in the crowd. Some people had good eyesight, but they didn't have much talent for cultivation. However, they had a rich understanding of martial arts in the world. There were also some experts who were watching the battle with interest and commented on onlookers. This move that Wang Shi used should be a special martial soul combat skill. It integrated everything about the martial soul. This is the specialty of the Beast King Palace. They are the best at this. Yes, this move seems to be called Sky Snake Fatal Spear. That's right. Just as the onlookers were discussing, Wang Shi used his attack. The roaring giant python seemed to have grown a pair of thin cicada wings. Its speed was so fast that it was even faster than Ling Xiao's flying snow. In the sky, the Moon Lady stared at the giant python nervously. As long as Ling Xiao was in danger, she would not hesitate to block the attack. However, she couldn't do that now. She couldn't interfere with Ling Xiao's battle until the last moment. She knew this young man's character too well. If she really did that, it would make Ling Xiao unhappy. Good. A confident smile appeared on Ling Xiao's face. A superior gold-grade martial skill? A core disciple of the Beast King Palace only has this little bit of knowledge. In his body, the all-evil beast soul spear was completely under his control. Then, black smoke appeared around him, as if there were countless vengeful spirits wailing. I will release you now. The black spear appeared directly behind Ling Xiao. The strange black light caused the surrounding space to distort. The all-evil beast soul spear. It was also a spear, but even a fool could see how powerful Ling Xiao's all-evil beast soul spear was. Following his shout, the spear appeared. All kinds of strange inscriptions appeared on the black spear. It was strange and mysterious. What martial skill is that? What is the all-evil beast soul spear? I've never heard of it. How can this martial skill be so terrifying? Is it a superior gold-grade martial skill? That's impossible. Ling Xiao is rumored to be an outer disciple of the Yuehua school. How can he learn a superior gold-grade martial skill? This is too strange. The jaws of the passing experts almost fell to the ground. They thought that Ling Xiao's superior gold-grade martial skill would be enough to suppress Ling Xiao. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao would use an even more terrifying martial skill? It seems that I don't have to worry about this kid anymore. I didn't expect him to be able to subdue the all-evil beast soul spear of the evil beast demon king. What is his martial soul? In the sky, the Moon Lady smiled wryly. She felt that she was worrying too much. She didn't need to treat Ling Xiao like a baby. He was a mature martial artist who had experienced many life and death battles. Inside the Iron Mountain cage, the all-evil beast soul spear didn't cause any discomfort. Of course, Ling Xiao had spent a lot of time preparing to use the all-evil beast soul spear. Although the all-evil beast soul spear's power was less than 1% of the evil beast demon kings, it was enough to deal with Wang Shi. It was more than enough. Black light danced in the sky. Ling Xiao pushed his hands forward, and the black spear made the sky look ferocious. Wherever the spear passed, the plants on the ground withered rapidly. The original corpses were also sucked dry of blood and turned into withered corpses. Chapter 491. Wang Shi stared fixedly at the terrifying black spear. Novel! La despair flashed across his eyes. He did not expect Ling Xiao to have such a terrifying trump card prepared for him. Master, save me. He let out a shrill roar at the sky. Tens of thousands of miles away in the Beast King Palace, an inner sect elder suddenly opened his eyes and sped towards the direction of the Shah family castle. His cultivation was on par with the flame deity. Although he could not fly, he could glide for a long time, and his speed was not slow either. Therefore, even if he was tens of thousands of miles away, it would only take him about an hour to reach the Shah family castle. Even so, the elder still felt that it was too slow, so he directly used the secret technique scroll that he had kept for a long time. The secret technique scroll could only be used once. Therefore, it was extremely precious. The secret technique scroll in his hand was the 8,000 miles near secret technique, which allowed him to travel tens of thousands of miles in an instant to reach his destination. He had to do this for Wang Shi. Wang Shi was his most outstanding disciple and one of the future hopes of the Beast King Palace. He could not die here. At this moment, in the Iron Mountain cage, Wang Shi poured all his true qi into the Sky Snake lethal spear. He sensed his master's arrival, so as long as he could stall for time and save his own life, he would be able to wait for his master. Boom! With a loud explosion, The corpse in the Iron Mountain cage was blown to smithereens, and the black spear collided with the Sky Snake lethal spear. Then the Sky Snake lethal spear was easily destroyed like it was made of paper. The black spear pierced through Wang Shi without any resistance. With a scream, Wang Shi's body was sent flying, and he crashed heavily into the Iron Mountain cage. He was nailed to the Iron Mountain cage by the black spear, and blood flowed from his back. However, the early stage Transcendent Realm 8th level cultivator was still alive. When the smoke dispersed, Ling Xiao was still standing there unscathed. There was not even a trace of a tear on his clothes. In the sky, the Moon Maiden's beautiful face showed a proud smile. That kind of feeling was like watching her man flaunting his prowess. It was especially comfortable. We won. Some of the onlookers cheered. That king snake is not dead yet. Some people seemed to be very vigilant. Even if he's not dead, he should be severely injured. There's no way he can win against young Hero Ling. That's true. This time, Wang Shi is completely defeated. This feeling is really great. Ling Xiao looked at Wang Shi, who was nailed to the cage, and said, "As I said, I'm here to kill you today, so you have to die." Ah. Wang Shi roared like a madman, but suddenly his body began to tremble violently. I advise you not to move around recklessly. The all-evil beast soul spear is the evil beast demon king's famous consummate skill. Its most frightening aspect is not its destructive power, but its ability to continuously absorb the essence of its victims. Ling Xiao looked at Wang Shi and said, "If you don't move, you can still die peacefully. But if you struggle, I'm afraid you'll die a horrible death." Ling Xiao did not feel any pity for Wang Shi at all. Wang Shi had brought all of this upon himself. The arrogant core disciple of the Beast King Palace thought that he could kill Ling Xiao. Hence, he chased after Ling Xiao all the way to Sha Castle and conspired with Fairy Linglong to kill Ling Xiao. In the end, he was killed by Ling Xiao in Sha Castle. It was a story to be told. "Bastard, do you think that you can live after I'm dead?" Wang Shi roared furiously. "My master will be here soon. When that time comes, it will be your time to die." His voice was filled with endless hatred and anger. "Are you talking about this, old man?" A woman's voice was heard in the sky. Then an old corpse was thrown down. "Moon Lady?" Ling Xiao was delighted. He did not expect the Moon Lady to still be here. Hee, she's still interested in me. In fact, with Ling Xiao's Mountain River martial soul, he could see Wang Shi's master, but not the Moon Lady. After all, the difference in strength was too big. On the other hand, Ling Xiao was prepared to deal with Wang Shi's master. Even if he couldn't win, he could at least run. He had already thought of a plan to retreat. Knowledge didn't expect that when this old man appeared, he would already be a corpse. "Master!" Wang Shi was in despair. Looking at the smashed corpse, he no longer had the confidence to fight with Ling Xiao. "How dare you kill an inner sect elder of the Beast King Palace? Does the Yuehua school not want to exist anymore?" Wang Shi was stunned. He could not believe that this was real. "So what if I killed him? If the Beast King Palace is not satisfied, then destroy it too." The woman in the sky was domineering. Although she was a peerless beauty, the words that came out of her mouth were really domineering to the extreme. Ling Xiao could not help but laugh bitterly. If he could be as domineering as her one day, he would be a true elite. "Did you hear that, Wang Shi? Since your master is dead, you should go with him so that he won't be lonely on the way." "No, I don't want to die. As long as you let me go, I can give you a complete set of upper gold grade martial arts." When the shadow of death loomed over him, Wang Shi had completely lost the determination in his heart. He actually begged Ling Xiao for mercy. "Upper gold grade martial arts? Haha, but I don't want it." After saying that, Ling Xiao gently hit Wang Shi with his palm. Wang Shi, who was on the verge of death, completely lost his life. His body slid down softly and fell beside his master's tattered corpse. Ling Xiao took Wang Shi's storage ring. However, the Moon Lady took Wang Shi's master's storage ring. In Wang Shi's storage ring, there was only one thing that caught Ling Xiao's attention. It was a secret scroll. Soul fusion. Ling Xiao penetrated the scroll with his soul force and carefully checked its grade and function. It turned out that this secret scroll was a secret scroll that could completely fuse one's martial spirit with a cultivator. The fused state could last for half an hour, and during that time, the cultivator's combat strength would increase by at least 3 times. Furthermore, the cultivator would be able to use some special combat abilities. However, the cultivator had to be at the peak of the transcendent realm 8th level or above. Because Wang Shi's cultivation was not high enough, he could not use it for the time being. Instead, it benefited Ling Xiao. "Little brat, I'll take my leave first." This time, the Moon Lady really had to leave first. Ling Xiao's performance made her feel very relieved. She did not think that such a cunning little brat would die so easily outside. Ling Xiao looked in the direction the Moon Lady disappeared and removed the iron cage. He then soared into the sky and flew in the direction of the Yuehua school. Wang Shi was dead, and so were the cultivators who chased after him. He did not want to stay in the Xia family castle any longer. Chapter 492. After Ling Xiao left, the story of a young swordsman who was half a demon and half a swordsman spread around the Xia castle. He destroyed the Linglong Celestial Palace and killed Wang Shi, a core disciple of the Beast King Palace. He had saved countless women who had been harmed and allowed the Xia family castle to return to its former tranquility. In fact, not long after this incident, the Yuehua school sent people to take over the place. Of course, they did so only because the Moon Lady had told Chang Yuan to do so. After all, once the Beast King Palace vented their anger on the Xia castle, many people here would die. It seemed that the Moon Lady, who looked domineering and tough, was actually quite meticulous. Before returning to the Yuehua school, Ling Xiao went to the Divine Sword sect and left behind a large number of mundane grade treasures, fine grade treasures, gold and silver, as well as a large number of panaceas. Then he rushed to the Yuehua school. After returning to the sect, Ling Xiao did not meet anyone. Instead, he went back to his cave abode in the outer sanctum and started to make some preparations. First of all, he used the precious grade treasures he got from the evil Beast Demon King's cave to condense his 36 Tiangang swords into precious grade treasures. He also condensed the Drifting Snow Sword. So far, his 2 long swords, the Ice Dragon Sword and the Drifting Snow Sword, had become precious grade treasures. And his 36 Tiangang swords had also become precious grade treasures. No one in the entire Yuehua school could compare to him. Unfortunately, he had used up all his precious grade treasures. Otherwise, he would have given one to Dai Yuling. However, he still had 3 fine grade treasures. He planned to give them to Dai Yuling, Zhao Ji, and Shangguanlei. He gave them to Dai Yuling because of friendship. He gave them to Zhao Ji and Shangguanlei because he wanted to win their hearts. Even though the 2 of them were already inner sect disciples, it was still not easy for them to obtain a fine grade artifact, especially a defense grade treasure. It was the hardest to get among all the magic treasures, but it was the most useful. After that, Ling Xiao spent a day reviewing and absorbing the battle scenes of the past few days. He converted the experience gained from the battle into his own. Through this hard work, his 9 meridians Qi sword finally entered a state of enlightenment. The comprehension of the last 3 Qi swords only took 2 hours to complete. This was mainly because he had been trying to use the 9 meridians Qi sword to fight with enemies these days, and the experience he had accumulated was not just a little bit. Just as he had expected, after the 9 Qi swords were completely condensed, he was able to comprehend the real move from the original chant. After all, it was a gold grade martial art. It was impossible for it to be a simple Qi sword attack. If that was the case, it would be inferior to the Snow Lotus sword art. Now he was relieved. In order to comprehend this set of martial arts moves, one had to constantly practice and accumulate experience. Then one would look at the incantation and gain new insights. It was a pity that he had just successfully condensed the 9 chi swords, so he had only comprehended one move. This move was formed according to the mnemonic chant and his mountain river martial spirit. He had let his martial spirit avatar test its power in the mountain river world. It was extremely terrifying. Just this move alone was comparable to the power of the last move of the Snow Lotus Sword art. The key was that the execution speed was faster, and he could use it without drawing his sword. It seemed that as his cultivation continued to increase, and he became more proficient in various martial arts, the Snow Lotus Sword art would gradually be eliminated. However, this was a natural law, and he did not care much about it. From the day he started practicing martial arts, he had already practiced many martial arts. There would always be times when he would be eliminated. However, these martial arts not only provided him with a strong fighting strength at that stage, but more importantly, provided him with some rules and knowledge to practice martial arts. This could also be considered a kind of accumulation. If he had not practiced the Snow Lotus Sword art before, then the current him would not have been able to practice the 9 Meridians Chi Sword so easily. Other than the 9 Meridians Chi Sword, Ling Zhao's Shadow Sword art had also improved. Now he could already condense 10 Sword Spirit avatars. That's right, it was Sword Spirit avatars and not Sword Shadow avatars. Previously, in the Dragon Submission mountain range, he had obtained a large number of sword-type martial spirits. Therefore, all of the Sword Shadow avatars had been condensed into Sword Spirit avatars. In the end, there were still 3 Sword Spirit avatars left. As long as they were condensed successfully, he would be able to practice the Shadow Sword art move smoothly. In reality, this Shadow Sword art was the replacement for the Snow Lotus Sword art. It was of a higher grade, more powerful, and also a move that used the sword. In addition, he now had 3 out-of-body stage martial spirits in his body. The Plague Demon King martial spirit, the Fairy Dragon martial spirit, and the Hemlock martial spirit had all reached the 1 point out-of-body stage. It was a pity that the Mountain River martial spirit's grade was relatively low, so it could not be improved for the time being. Other than that, there was also the evil Beast Demon King, imprisoned, an immemorial golden dragon, and a metal piece that was filled with killing intent that was not inferior to the immemorial golden dragon's aura. As for the other martial spirits, he used a portion to strengthen the immemorial golden dragon's soul, and gave the other portion to the Mountain River martial spirit to devour. The Mountain River martial spirit's grade was too low, so it had to be improved. Otherwise, the other martial spirits would be stuck at the 1 day out-of-body stage, unable to be improved. Fortunately, after devouring so many martial spirits, the Mountain River martial spirit had reached the pinnacle of the transparent body and could break through at any time. This was only a matter of time, because the martial spirits that had been devoured needed a longer period of time to digest. He estimated that after this, the Mountain River martial spirit would at least be able to reach the pinnacle of the perfect soul virtual body stage. It might even be able to reach the perfect soul physical body stage. This time, the rewards from the Shaw family castle and the Dragon Submission mountain range were simply too great. After finishing these things, Ling Xiao left the cave and prepared to give the 3 defensive treasures to Dai Yuling and the rest. In another 2 days, the Moon Arrival Festival would arrive, and the Pagoda Ascension ceremony would officially begin on the 3rd day after the Moon Arrival Festival. The first 3 days would not be idle, and the main thing was to organize a selection. Other than the seated contestants, the rest of the disciples who had not participated in the Pagoda Ascension ceremony 3 times could participate in the selection. It was said that this time the Moon Maidens had adjusted the rules of the Pagoda Ascension ceremony. Due to the appearance of the Plague Demon King, the evil Beast Demon King, and the appearance of the Mountain River martial spirit, there was a feeling that the mystic world would undergo a huge change. The adjustment of the rules was to allow more disciples to obtain the qualifications to participate in the pagoda ascension ceremony. The previous conditions were too harsh, and the number of disciples who had the qualifications to enter the Moonlight Pagoda would definitely not exceed 20. Sometimes there would only be 1 or 2. However, it was different this time. The original rules were no longer applied, and the number of people who could participate in the pagoda ascension ceremony was increased to 50. These 50 people would be selected through competition. In other words, no matter what, there would not be less than 50 disciples who would enter the Moonlight Pagoda Ascension Ceremony. Chapter 493. However, even though the number of spots to participate in the Pagoda Ascension Ceremony had increased, for many disciples with weaker cultivations, it was more troublesome. Because if they wanted to compete, they would have to compete with their strength. Of course, those with higher cultivation would have an advantage. In the past, they could only pass a certain test by luck, but now the spots could only be obtained through competition. Naturally, strength was more important. Many people cited this, such as Zhao Ji. Zhao Ji had been diligently cultivating ever since Ling Xiao gave him the martial arts manual. Now his cultivation had broken through to the peak of the 2nd layer transcendent realm. However, this cultivation level was truly not that high. It would be very difficult for him to enter the top 50. The Yuehua school's inner sect currently had about 200 disciples. About 100 of them were in the 1st layer transcendent realm. The others hadn't been counted yet. So Zhao, she didn't know his exact position. He could only desperately raise his strength to the limit. If he could snatch a spot, that would be the best. Dai Yuling's cultivation was about the same as Zhao Ji's, but because her cultivation method was more unique, she had already reached the early 3rd layer transcendent realm. These two were just barely qualified to obtain a spot. However, when Ling Xiao handed them a fine-grade artifact, defensive artifact, their confidence suddenly increased. Once a cultivator of the same level had a magic artifact, they would be much stronger. Especially a defensive artifact, it could play a big role in a critical moment. Looking at the fine-grade artifact, defensive artifact in his hand, Zhao Ji said excitedly, "Senior Brother Ling, I can't thank you enough. I, Zhao Ji, owe you Ling Xiao. When I inherit the throne, I will definitely protect your family." This was all he could do. After all, in terms of talent, he couldn't compare to Ling Xiao. Saying that he would save Ling Xiao and help Ling Xiao was a bit hypocritical. However, as the most valued prince of Northern Han, he could play a role in the secular world. Protecting the divine sword sect was relatively simple. By the way, Senior Brother Ling, did you get this transcendent artifact from the divine weapon hall? Even though Ling Xiao was still an outer court disciple, how could Zhao Ji not know how terrifying his strength was? Although Wu Yang and Qin Wu did not spread the news of what had happened at the Shah family castle to the public, and only told Meng Yuan about it, Zhao Ji could feel that Ling Xiao's aura had changed. Therefore, he had already changed the name of Ling Xiao to Senior Brother. In the sect, the strong were respected. Other than the fact that the title of master and disciple would not change, the titles of senior and junior brothers, senior and junior sisters, and so on, were all determined based on their cultivation. This was also a kind of incentive measure. Divine Weapon Hall. Ling Xiao was stunned. He did not know that there was such a place in Yuehua School. It can't be right. Senior Brother Ling, there are many good treasures in the Divine Weapon Hall. You obtained so many sect points last time. Could it be that you exchanged them all for martial arts secret manuals? Zhao Ji asked in surprise. No, I didn't. I was in a hurry to leave the sect to train, so I didn't use them. Ling Xiao touched his chin. He felt that he really had to make a trip to the Divine Weapon Hall. Transcendent artifacts were not just weapons and defensive equipment. It also included some special items that aided in cultivation and battle. Of course, it also included secret scrolls, which were also considered a type of transcendent artifact. In this period of time, Ling Xiao had seen the power of secret scrolls, as well as the power of many auxiliary and offensive transcendent artifacts. Since he had a lot of points now, there was no need to exchange them for martial arts secret manuals. He might as well exchange them for transcendent artifacts. In this way, his combat power would increase by a lot under the same cultivation level. After all, anything could happen during the pagoda ascension ceremony. With more assurance, there would be more chances of success. Thank you for the reminder, Junior Brother Zhao. I'll go take a look at the Divine Weapon Hall now. After bidding farewell to Zhao Ji, Ling Xiao gave the last high-quality defensive artifact to Shangguan Lei. Of course, he did this secretly and was sure that no one would see it. After that, he asked for the location of the Divine Weapon Hall and quickly went there. The Divine Weapon Hall was the same as the Array Hall and the Medicine Hall. It was one of the more important halls in the Yuehua school. The hall masters of the Array Hall and the Medicine Hall were peak Transcendent Realm Level 9 martial artists. The hall master of the Divine Weapon Hall was a true heavenly venerable. Moreover, this hall master was an old acquaintance of Ling Zhao's, heavenly venerable Golden Light, who was also Lung Hao's master. Ha ha ha, little guy, we meet again. Heavenly Venerable Golden Light was very friendly when he saw Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao had refused to be his disciple, he was not a narrow-minded person. Heavenly Venerable is actually the Hall Master of the Divine Weapon Hall. Ling Xiao bowed to Heavenly Venerable Golden Light. He had a very good impression of Heavenly Venerable Golden Light. Then he explained his purpose of coming here. You want a support-type artifact? Sure, no problem. Take your pick, no matter what grade the artifact is. I'll give you a 50% discount for the first item and a 20% discount for the second and subsequent items. Heavenly Venerable Golden Light said with a smile, Sky Sovereign, you have to think carefully. Last time, I made a great contribution to the sect. All the pills, martial arts manuals, and armaments were originally calculated according to a 20% discount. The discount you mentioned is calculated on the basis of a 20% discount. Ling Xiao smiled. Of course, this Heavenly Venerable knows. However, since the Moon Maiden has chosen you, you are the future hope of the Yuehua school. This Heavenly Venerable only has one request for you, and that is to help Lung Hao as much as you can. Heavenly Venerable Golden Light explained the reason why he was treating Ling Xiao so well. Since Heavenly Venerable Golden Light has said so, this junior will naturally not refuse. Helping Lung Hao was just a small matter, but he could obtain the powerful help of Heavenly Venerable Golden Light. Even if there was no discount, Ling Xiao would definitely agree. Ling Xiao was very clear about this debt. Since that's the case, follow me in. Although you said that you want to choose a support-type weapon, this Heavenly Venerable feels that you should take a look. In fact, even the same weapon will have completely different attributes and uses. As Heavenly Venerable Golden Light led Ling Xiao into the Divine Weapon Hall, he said, This Heavenly Venerable knows that you have 2 treasured swords in your hands. They might have reached the level of a treasured artifact, but your 2 treasured swords are of the ice and snow attribute. This Heavenly Venerable feels that you can choose some treasured swords that are compatible with your attributes. His words reminded Ling Xiao. The 12 Golden Lotus arts had the power of 12 celestial bodies. However, his Ice Dragon sword and Floating Snow sword were both of the ice and snow attribute. This was obviously not compatible enough. What he needed now were 4 swords of the wind, thunder, rain, and lightning attributes. Only then would it be more suitable for him to display the power of the celestial bodies. Of course, it would be even better if he could gather the power of 12 celestial bodies. Junior understands. Thank you for your reminder, Heavenly Venerable. Ling Xiao nodded. He already had a plan in mind.